you.
Hey, John, yeah. Did you check that online?
I'm gonna delete it. The first drive.
Thank you.
You're deleting this?
No, we're back live. Pretty sure I got. It's probably processing the first one. Content.
It says it's live, but you know.
Yeah, I'm not even online. I'm just on with you all right at the moment. You got pictures. John's got music.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're on a fresh stream.
Okay, well.
I'll find out.
You know this is too loud. This is so we can get a little check for everybody, and it's YouTube-friendly music. Hey, Katniss. We got Memory Trigger, Ashley.
We got 6 people there waiting for us to talk about something.
John, there's a video on.
It is, you know.
Yeah, it's on your channel, John.
Yeah, I can't delete it yet. It won't let me yet.
It is going live right now.
Nah, he's got a video on there too, the first 46 seconds.
Yeah. That closed out.
But I'm not able to delete it yet. Oh, wait, there it is.
How is everybody? Y'all hanging
All right.
in there?
Good. I'm concerned with the state of affairs with a lot of things, though, going on worldwide.
You talking about Canada?
Yeah,
Russia?
everything, just everything in general. I don't want to put a label on it, but tensions are rising worldwide.
Yeah, you're
Well,
right. We knew that was coming.
Oh yeah,
we did. I made a couple videos.
It needs to happen.
One of them.
At least, in the fight for
Made more than a
dropping
couple.
mandates.
Well, everything I said is happening. It
You're
really
right.
is.
almost automatically too. Like
I sat and was told what was going to happen, Daniel, that I was working for a senator for several years. I legalized CBD in this nation. I had that level of influence, and I stepped down because I knew this plan was coming and it had already been decided on. I had the delusion in my head that it had been decided on a few years before I got into it, like 20, 30 years, because I could see the progression of the plan. And it came to a realization that when Constantine wrote that last script in their script called Revelations, that he was talking about all the stars that they had, the alignment since the beginning of time and the end of time in Samir. That's how we got our great star alignment. I looked and saw where the Crown Vatican, the people that actually wrote the script, made the Nazi party, freaking formed out of the Zionists and the nationalists in Germany, literally funding to the crown as Hitler was bombing the crown, Palestine, and opened up Israel. Then we funneled in the Zionist half of the fucking Nazi party. Now we sit there and watch little Hebrew people sit with little signs talking about this and that and other thing down with Zionism, and everybody wonders what's going on. Well, it's because that's the people they murdered. And that's the way it is. Then all of a sudden we see the mark of the beast talking about the hearts and how you're not going to be able to connect with the creator. And we find out that there's magnetism in our hearts and we have a sac around our hearts. So I started looking at this mRNA at patient 30. and I saw where it was going to attack that nerve system. Told people this is going to cause horrible heart problems. I didn't know what the result was looking like, but I could see it. Corona is literally the most studied virus on the planet, and mRNA is nothing but a registered weapon. I did a video with the very manufacturer of the Madeira talking about that, saying those exact words. And it wouldn't have any viable medical use for at least 20 years. And then 6 months later, his fucking signature is sitting there on the damn vaccination, so-called vaccine, the mRNA treatment for fucking the population.
You know, it's like they wrote the script and then started, you know, producing the movie.
This is a long time ago.
Yeah.
They wrote that script. They've been doing this for a long time, and we can see that in these stones where they've been doing this to us for a long time.
Yeah.
It's time for us to stop playing the game. We need to literally unilaterally put down our weapons and stop fighting with each other.
Yeah.
Just because these people tell us that we got to protect some border or something. We all live on a marble that turned onto its fucking side and made the damn sky roll. We know
that dollar. That dollar is the chains that bind you in slavery.
The dollar is an illusion that's printed by the Crown Vatican to control us.
Well, we know
nothing
that.
would stop.
Don't know that.
Nothing would stop producing, and there would be more than an abundance if we got rid of the dollar and just took care of the needs of the people.
You can't tell those police officers not to do their job and not pay their bills and not. I mean, they can't. That's not rational to them. They have to have their paycheck. They know this is all for the freedom of Walmart shopping.
Well, what money does is it takes value from things and adds value to itself, right? Because it's the commodity that's used to trade. If people didn't use money and just call money love, then you base value off of love. The more of it, the better. But because it's money, it has a greed component to it.
But saying love, I agree. I mean, it's great that these trucker or
I'm just
even
trying to use
freedom
something
protests that's their primary focus is love. That's what it's all about. It's not fighting and
I agree.
tearing and rioting and all this and that. And it's a very positive movement that we needed, and and the Canadians started it, and it's going worldwide. And I'm behind a little bit on the updates over the weekend, but
it had to happen the way it's happening. It has to continue the way it's happening, or the people aren't going to see that your government, the elite system that runs this world, the whole planet, they can at any moment come in and take whatever it is you think you have. You think you own your land. You think you own your bank account, your car, your children. You don't own any of that because they own you and everything you own. You're a slave. You're their property.
I would like to remind everybody that's involved with the truckers going to DC that they're not on U.S. law. They're on maritime law. And if you break the law, they can shoot you on spot because they're international law. Don't go inside DC. And I suggest you figure out a different location, because if you do that, it's going to incite a lot of weird shit.
Are you saying BC or DC as in like Washington, DC?
Washington, DC is on maritime law. It doesn't run on local federal law. It's maritime law, international law.
It's the one I keep talking about, 1871. They signed us into the incorporated. And
when they signed maritime law into effect, it made it its own country, basically, almost.
Yeah. That's the whole three city rule thing. It's the Crown Vatican C Corporation. We are the Knights of Malta. Our presidents are knighted by the Knights of Malta by the Crown, who is the head of the Knights of Malta.
I just want to remind everybody that it's on a different law, and that's very concerning. If you're going to go into a jurisdiction where we don't have jurisdiction, and they do, they're setting us up for failure.
Well, they're going to manipulate it anyway.
I just wanted to be informing.
You're
I
very,
mean,
you
the
hit a very
Canadian
good point.
truckers, they didn't do anything that violated any laws or constitutional,
No,
right.
With
Did none of
maritime law,
that.
it wouldn't matter. With maritime law, it doesn't matter.
Then why the
Organic Act,
Emergency Act?
DC Organic Act, however, is not inclusive to anything in Canada. It's just to DC.
Right, right. That's why they enacted their Emergency Act so that they could just
But
go.
with Trudeau invoking his emergency act, it puts strain on the truckers here to do something. Well, we just had a storm that I'm pretty sure blizzard all the trucks in, regardless. They've taken 21 trucks out by tow truck so far. They've arrested 100 people in Ottawa related to the protest. A lot of weird shit's going on, and it's not going to look good. It doesn't look good, actually,
They're
because
provoking a response.
it's peaceful. The system doesn't know how to respond to it.
Well, at this point, I don't think doing a convoy is going to help anything. What I think the truckers should do is park their vehicles, go home, park it, take a vacation.
Yeah, pretty much.
When things don't start, when nothing is getting to the stores, when these elites have no products that they can sell, then what?
If the truckers are going to get arrested as terrorists because Trudeau made that call, this is what I'm talking about, maritime law. Because it's already said, maritime law will act under international pretense. And that's why I just don't want no one to, ended up injured in something that needless be. I think it's all about location. If the truckers are going to be labeled terrorists and be arrested because they're protesting, it's all about location. Let's bring back Area 51 raid.
that was a
No, if they're going to arrest them, go down for something grand.
yeah.
And if you arrest all the truckers, you stop the supply chain. If you shoot them, you stop the supply chain. If you don't let them know what's going on, you stop the supply chain. It's just you force somebody's hand.
Unchained is in the chat.
But,
Yeah.
I'm just angry at the entire system. Don't mind me. Because I think all this is silly. They want to play who has the bigger wang. Well, the one up in the sky does.
I got some chips. They're underneath there. Technically, I think that might be me.
What do you all think about the recent solar activity? Some of those are pretty intimidating.
I think
it actually made the mainstream news, all of the activity there. Funny enough, they were put an article out about the continuous emissions from the sun this month, and said to expect more. I'm like, well, imagine that. I mean, you got to keep in mind, these cats know what we know. I stepped down because of that, and not only that, they intend to make it worse. All this supply chain and talk and stuff like that. The big picture here is they realize we're out of food. They're stretching what we have in the first place, and what they haven't ordered is being quickly gotten up. It's all a distraction from the fact that, the base of this is they geoengineered these feed crops to die at some really heinous candlelight parameters. I did a video on that too with Monsanto, and did their research and showed that they GMO'd this shit to basically die when you get it to one candlelight. They knew we were going to have some bright nights coming up, and I'll be damned, we've been bright out east like motherfucker today. it's been growing over the years. You can see it at sunset a lot better than any time. But this is UV light, something your eye can't register.
But the plants.
The plants can, yes, and they're not getting that resting cycle. And unilaterally, they went dead at 1.5 feet. I mean, several videos of hundreds of miles of like. For a while, it was baffling me. I was like, how in the fuck are all these crops dying? How sorry, something popped up on my screen.
Yeah, I had to fix a link.
All right.
Limited, Eric.
But all these crops were dying unilaterally across the globe at 2 foot tall. And it was like, how in the hell? And then it hit me. I was like, oh my God. So I did the research and I was like, yeah, that's what got it, was the candlelight at night because it's too bright. They GMO'd it knowing what was going to come, selling it to us as the thing that's going to kill starvation across the globe.
I'm concerned about those UV readings too. I see y'all mentioning the UV readings in the chat there. I'm concerned about that too.
Well, of course they're spiking.
Yeah, well,
I'm wondering what it's going to look like in the summer.
We're getting readings that basically like summertime readings of UV during the winter this year. Last year we didn't. This year we are.
Well, look at the.
I got deep out
watching this get worse and worse over in Iswa. I mean, in the humans. I mean, all this is correlated. Ra's a lot closer than he was 2 years ago when we first started noticing our magnetosphere was having some fucking crazy shit happen.
Is that what's causing all the funky stuff over there on the other side of the sun?
Well, that's Ra. That's Horus.
That's what I thought. Now, Ken says that Horus is going to eclipse Sol towards the end of March.
Well, Ken also had the blue sun and the red sun backwards. I'm not sure. But
he said April too, so I wasn't sure if it was March or April.
March or April.
For this eclipse.
Well, I think he's got it wrong.
You think it's going to be raw?
I think we're going to roll back real soon.
What makes you think that?
The next event to happen is our internal burning of Babylon, and in civil war unrest, we will see politicians drug out in the street. And this is planned. Understand. This is planned as the bombs drop because of the Ukraine and the South China Sea. And I've been saying this very same thing since 2014. I'm not changing anything because I've watched
every source
anything they told me.
Every source that I'm looking at seems to want to suggest that a natural disaster is going to occur in the United States and everything's going to fall from there.
Well, we have Yellowstone going to blow off. We have the caldera out there in LA going to pop off. We're already seeing rogue waves showing up because we're coming to the point where we're literally seeing these harmonics in all global kilowatts. Not all day, but some days it's like, oh my God. And like we were doing the live show looking at the harmonics that day when that rogue wave went through the fucking ferry.
Yeah.
You know, we're seeing correlation of what we've been talking about for years coming. And this is the day we've been talking about. It's here. It's happening. We're slowing down. And there ain't no question. I ain't got to look at my damn clock anymore. It's like, I'm sitting here last night, felt something wasn't reported. You know, I'm from LA.
Mushrooms last night, though.
Yeah, but I'm from LA. I know a tremor. It wasn't me, man. It was in my feet, in my butt, sitting here on this bench. But yeah, it was very light. I don't think it.
I swear you can, if if you focus, you can feel tiny, tiny vibrations at the bottom of your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It shake
That's
you
those
like
harmonic
that.
tremors
Yeah.
that we're looking at on all these heater plots. Yeah, of course you can feel it.
I was mentioning that to my son the other day. I'm like, take your shoes off. Do you not feel that shaking? I feel like a vibration. I feel it.
You're
Clear.
seeing it in this, in not only Islam, we're seeing it
Seeing it
now
in the
in healer
cloud.
plots, and you can feel it in your feet. This is a real thing.
In the
I know
cloud. See it
these,
everywhere.
even after years and years of watching me write poly, I still sound crazy, don't
Those
I? I
those
know
two
I sound crazy.
phenomena
I
are
don't know
just
how
like
else to approach it. This is what's going to happen.
those quakes, those shallow quakes that you're talking about. Someone here in the chat, I didn't see who it was, but those shallow quakes, the more shallow they are, the more nervous I become, because if they are a reverse thrust oblique quake, that means, continents are shifting.
But the 10 km, I think, is the default reading.
Right, it is.
Unless they determine it differently. Yeah, because that was G Boba.
Well, we monitor it live every day, several times a day if they're on Twitch, just FYI, folks. And we've been talking about stuff like this.
My dog wants to be on camera, y'all.
Watching this develop over beautiful.
Is he going to be an internet star?
We've been watching this develop over a few years now, and it really is amazing to watch happen. I'm to the point now I'm just sitting here watching it happen.
Well, y'all, these dogs, this is Justice.
Hey, Chad.
You will hear me 25 times a day saying no justice, no justice, no peace.
Now we know.
Yeah, now you know.
Hey, hi everybody. Hi, Kat. Good to see you.
Well, we've gotten 48 people in so far.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah.
I just got the chat up. I had my internet closed down.
We've got just about everybody.
I'm all screen. You can't even see me. Ow.
I chose this time so we could get some of the guys or the people that live in Europe here.
Nice.
Like we got Daniel Fernandez Unchained.
I'm in the dungeon. I was blowing some glass.
Hey, Benjamin. Long time no talk.
This is my
I'm just sitting here.
service dog. Come on, don't get on the computer. This is the other one. This is my service dog.
Oh my God.
His name is Tom, and he's deaf as can be. He's a good boy though. They got to come and entertain themselves on with the YouTube, you know.
You're welcome, Benjamin.
Hi, everybody.
We're not through yet, Chad.
Welcome to John's channel.
I know that John was wanting to discuss some of
That is
the Akashic record today.
Awesome.
Yep. I did try last night, and I don't know if it worked because I don't know if I fell asleep or not.
Well, it's absolutely possible.
I fell asleep in bubbles last night. Woke up cold as fuck.
Stop. I'm not playing with you right now. Get down.
Hated when that happened.
But for those who are not aware of it, it's basically the electromagnetic field that surrounds everyone and the universe. More of a modern interpretation, like in Star Wars, would be called the Force.
Right.
Now, there are many names for it: the Divine Matrix, the
Ether.
Matrix, the Ether, the Cosmic Record, all kinds of names for it. But that's where I'm studying and trying to learn more about it.
Well, you said something that really caught my attention. You said, I have to learn. Like it was imperative that you learn how.
Yeah, and I was telling you later, I was like, I didn't realize I used that word half, but it makes sense. When I get set on something, I've got to learn about it.
It's not really a learn. It's
More of a feel.
yeah.
Well, we learn that it exists.
That's why I suggested that you check out some of the remote viewing techniques because they're very similar. What you sent me, that link you sent me last night about the doing yoga to tap into the Akashic record, it's the exact same techniques that they're using for remote viewing. And remote viewing is literally tapping into that Akashic record. They're the same thing.
Yep.
But I think it is it Zachariah Stitchin or Bill Maher? I think it might be Bill Maher that did a whole series on his experiences with remote viewing, because he learned went through the CIA to learn how to do remote viewing. He wanted to know what it was about, so
yeah.
And that's when he discovered this is the same thing as the Akashic record.
And I've always been told, what I always kind of thought is Google has nothing on the Akashic record. You know, Google was always the information highway. You know.
Yeah.
Now it's nothing in comparison.
It's a limited highway. You have a speed limit.
Benjamin Glover is right. That Kundalini yoga, that is exactly the techniques of remote viewing.
Come on out to Colorado, John. I'll show you all about it.
Yeah. Starting to piece that together, that possibility.
Everyone on the planet can feel the shift occurring. You have all these prepper channels. Everybody's saying it. Everybody feels some tension, some animosity. Something is brewing. Something's coming. A change is coming. Everybody's talking about it.
The shoe's spiking.
Well, whatever that may be. I think it's because we know that it's coming because of the Akashic record. No one had to tell us it was coming. We could feel it. Even people that don't know what they're feeling know they're feeling something is coming.
Yes.
So that magnetic I think of it like a Venn diagram. Y'all know what a Venn diagram is, I assume. So it's all those interconnected little, every single atom magnetically connecting every single atom in the whole universe, the whole of everything. Every atom that exists is connected. And so what you're feeling, that vibration that you're feeling, the animosity, the fear, whatever it is you want to call it, that you're feeling, the whole planet is feeling it because it's an interconnected magnetic field.
So for the beginner, where would be a good place to start? I don't know, for say learning about it. For me, it was obviously through our research and Eric and everybody, but others like Greg Braden could be a good source to start to understand it.
Yeah.
He has his own twist on it.
That and like you've done, look at magnetic properties and try to apply them to your biology, understanding you have control of your magnet. You have to, first off, they get us so divided. They get us so.
I think it would be so much easier if we weren't lied to from the beginning. We would all know this.
Well, this is for our children, for sure.
Right.
But here's the problem. They get us on purpose like this with our magnet field, literally closed field lines, pushing all other magnets away. Because they know, the controllers understand that we are connected to all this. That's where we get our power. Well, if they can keep our field lines closed, fuck's sake, you're never going to learn anything from the Acacian record. What you have to literally do is put in your heart a calmness and imagine your magnet rolling out and grabbing a hold of Mother Earth because you've seen it in this wall. You have one like hers. Put those hairs out. Let her grab a hold of you, man. You're gonna start getting goosebumps and feel it. Just roll with the feeling.
And you
If you're
keep saying you
fucking-
fall asleep, John. Maybe if you try to first start with the yoga breathing, because you exercise, you go to the gym, you know how important it is to do that breathing.
Mhm.
If you do some of those deep breathing exercises,
Right.
it brings clarity,
And that's
and
what I
you
did.
can feel other connections. I mean, like I told you, I remember one time I mentioned to you, have you ever been sitting there and with your back turned, felt someone walk into the room? Like you didn't see them come in, you didn't hear them come in, you just felt that someone walked into the room. That's the same feeling that you're looking for.
I forget that I was in chat. I'm actually a part of this. I'm sorry.
You're over there reading chat.
I do
Yeah.
the same, but I do feel like I know in my heart that it works, it exists, it's there. And maybe I'm just not recognizing things, but like when you sent me that one message and I said I felt the hit in the chest,
That tingle, yeah.
that was kind of the first time, but I'm very skeptical, and so it's like, well,
Right.
I always maybe try to explain things away, but I did like that website I sent. I did the breathing and tried to listen, feel, see, but then it's like maybe things just kind of shut down, and then it's just maybe that's the point where I fall asleep. But I was sitting right here in this chair. Everyone else was sleeping. I mean, it was 2:00 in the morning. I went to the gym earlier. I had a shower and was relaxed and did the breathing exactly how they said and kept the question in my mind. But I don't know. I just know a half an hour later, I opened my eyes and and I was like, wow, at least I know.
Did you hear an answer to your question?
No, not that I
Not
see.
even.
I know
Did
it
you
could be
try to
very
answer-
vague, and I may have to continue to try and get a clearer answer or maybe a more defined question, but I just did, who am I?
Did you try to answer the question yourself?
No.
No.
I was just trying to listen or feel for anything.
You didn't see any images while you were sitting there? You didn't see like a flash of light or like a quick image of a person or something, like blinking your eyes?
It's a possibility where I saw like a blurry tunnel, where everything's all faded to the outside, but there's a circle where there's kind of like this, but then everything out here is all blurred out, kind of like a
Got
once or
some tunnel
twice,
vision?
and then of course like the kind of blurry little lights at another time.
I know I'm nervous. I
And
am
then it just
nervous
kind of like,
for
oh,
when
I woke
John
up.
breaks through and is able to tap into that record. And I know myself why it makes me nervous. When it happens, it's going to be the coming of the true white brother.
The problem here is John is more pragmatic than I am. John has homeworked me to death. He scared me once coming at me for proving me I was wrong. And I was like, oh shit, if anybody's going to prove me I'm wrong on anything, it's going to be him. And he just missed a little detail. I wasn't wrong at all. But it's lucky me. But what I'm trying to get at is I had the same problem. And but it didn't last long for me because I, in my pragmatic, reckless behavior, understood the magnetic really quick. And I went, first act of understanding was to literally place my wrinkles on the dirt and try to steal mom's magnet. That didn't work so well.
Well,
And I did see, and then I went to bed and I tried again, just asking to communicate, to speak to Mother Earth like you do. And
I didn't ask nothing. I said,
well, I mean, you didn't have to.
I didn't realize
trying
there was
anything and everything. And
I didn't realize there was an
Yeah.
entity there. I just went for the magnet and found out there was an entity there.
Someone in the
It
chat said
scared
it
me.
pretty clear. They said we let our beliefs and our ego and a million other things distract us from actually focusing on that. So
I had no idea Mother Earth even existed.
right.
I
John,
just pragmatically went after that magnet, and the magnet smacked me.
John
What
says
happened?
John says basically he has to talk to mom or just see something. See how my technique is, I ask for the person. I want to talk to Saint Germain. I want to talk to Da Vinci. And then as I dream, I'll have an interaction with a character that will resemble that person.
Mhm.
And then I can't tell if it's real
Yeah,
because
DJ is.
because the information when I research is like, how the fuck?
yeah, you're like, how did I know that? And
Yeah, but
I had a dream.
how did
I
my
know?
dream tell me something I didn't know that I researched? And then it's like,
You
huh?
found out that your dream was right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
I hear a little voice, and it's my own voice, but it calls me things like dumbass and fucktard, and it says, you know this already if you just listen.
I asked.
that same voice says it's mine. That's
I
funny.
I asked a friend once, I'm like, is the voice you hear inside your head your voice or is it another voice? And they're like, it's my voice. And I'm like, okay, then I think we're normal.
Yeah.
Just questioning yourself. Well,
Well, no, it's like
Yeah.
hypotheticals. Like, is the voice yours or does it sound like another person?
You wonder, am I really hearing this from some source, or am I just creating this myself? Is this something I picked up from television? You question it.
Right.
You really do. And then at some point, you realize that every time you questioned it, it was correct. There was no need for you to even question it because it was right. And then the questions become fewer and fewer. And you're like, okay, now I know that I'm hearing this voice, that this thing is real, that it's guiding me to this, and it's teaching me this, and I know it's real.
But then, sorry.
When you come to that point, John, the whole world's gonna freaking explode.
But when you hit me, I guess was the word. That was the first time I've ever noticed really anything that, because I've asked others to do that and they won't, they wouldn't,
and I think the reason for that is because it's so important for you to understand, for you to learn. Once you learn, everyone, you're the 100th monkey, dude. Once you learn, everyone will know.
I just feel it's like the next step for me. It's like I'm
instead
done
of
everything else, and now
unfortunately,
it's time to...
I think your next step is everyone's next step.
Instead of 100 monkeys, let's say it's 144 monkeys, because we're gonna make sure.
Okay. I don't know. I just felt that when you were talking about it last night and you said you felt that tingle, my whole body was shaking. I mean, I was trembling, and something, the Akashic record, mom, whatever you want to call it, was absolutely telling me, thank you, Colton, was absolutely telling me that when you know, everyone will know. And I think that's what makes you, that's why I believe you're the true white brother.
Well,
I believe you bridge the gap between all the people that are logical and reasonable and think that we're, this is crazy, y'all are frou-frou in the head.
See,
you bridge that gap between the frou-frou crazy and the logic.
It's strange that people have said that like Revelations and a lot of it is construed, but I do think there is bits and parts because I resemble and relate to the character of Daniel in biblical story. And it's weird because it's like, I know people's theories of it being partial, but I still recognize it as biblical, like regardless of whatever everybody else's interpretation of it is. Whether it was written after the fact or written like who really knows?
It holds truth.
It bits and pieces of it. I'm sure that it was misconstrued, like all things are.
Well, for the purpose of division. But it holds truth.
It does.
Every great lie has to hold truth, or it wouldn't be believable. But you, with discernment, can pick out the truth in the lie.
I'm wondering what their plan is to reconnect the people. You know, like through the Christian religion, they connected, you know, nations together. So after they tear everybody apart and everything goes to hell, what are they going to do to rebuild that? Is that when they're going to bring us the aliens? And, you know, what's going to be the catalyst that brings people back together? Are they going to pretend Jesus has come back?
Define alien.
Well, we're aliens. Once we step off this planet, we're aliens.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I'm saying define alien. Okay, so I'll try to define it. We are terrestrial. What is extraterrestrial? Something that's, you know, fabricated.
Mm-hmm.
That's an opinion, but who's to say that the alien invasion has not already been taken?
Oh, thousands of years. Thousands of years ago, aliens came down to this planet.
Well, exactly. They came here before.
That's why the cuneiform is called the language of the gods. That's the one they brought from their planet.
Yeah.
Simple as that. They taught us how to read. And they couldn't read our language that we were printing all over the damn things that we were building for them. And they killed it out of us, all that knowledge. But the funny thing is, we were writing in a language that never changed.
So I know I've been in chats, lots and lots of chats, spewing what I think I know. And to me, listening to a few lectures about the Magic City, Chicago, the World Expose, the amount of tech that was put into Chicago by itself. If you look at that Victorian age, where did all that tech come from in 1889? My personal opinion is it possibly came from either Russia before World War I, because the world was already united beforehand. And when the emperor stepped down, then all the provincials wanted to fight for power. And this is where the corporation took over and stole all the tech and put a patent office so no one could, you know, have free reign.
Nations and, you know, any artifacts.
Exactly. Like there was a time when philanthropy used to just give itself away. And because it knew it could make its money back, because it had the power to make its money back through innovation. But
well, free market was killed a long time ago. What we really have is an oligarchy where the government controls all the corporations.
It's a giant meter. It's a giant meter.
Yeah.
You're right. And that's not sustainable. The center of that is going to fall right out.
But if you look at it,
it's by design.
Why World War I happened was because of world strife. World economics was poor. Why? Because of all the countries shipping the tech to the United States as a gift to give them free technology and start the industrialness. If you look at how history played out, I think all the tech was the Tatarian steam tech. And it got shipped over here to prevent people from using it against each other over there. And then when the corporations came over here looking for it, that was the gold that they were looking for. Was the tech that was taken out of the hands of people that would have used it against each other. Because if you look at the Russians, the Nazis, and Poland, Jews, India, and that just the entire Eastern region, they would have used free energy against each other. And that would have been horrendous. So how to save the world from itself is to get rid of it for a short time. But the problem is, like Lee said, voltage drop. Our awareness is dropping because of the voltage drop.
We took a voltage drop because we were on a very high energy blue sun.
Yeah.
And we got trapped in this Lagrange point. I agree with the point that we lost voltage. However, the reason we lost voltage is not due to the universe coming to it.
No.
It is because of the very simple physical trapping of our planet here on a lower energy sun.
Yeah, which basically condensed light into the matter that it is. And we're all beautiful.
I think
Which
life
wouldn't have been a
exists
universal level voltage drop. It just would have been a local event.
Yes,
But
it is. It's a local event
Mhm.
that he's talking about, but he's projecting it in his own mind as
A
In our-
galactic event.
in our brains, we lost the ability to see the extended universe
yes,
right.
yes.
because of the voltage
Lost our
drop.
connection to
And we
these
have to make the
cosmic
difference up of energy to be able to recognize what we see, because we by ourselves, our ego wants to survive. It doesn't want to recognize what it isn't.
Something more.
But it is what it is.
It is. Absolutely. Daniel's very correct. I love the way you
Yeah.
what I was going to say because he said it better.
Yeah.
Sorry, Eric.
Okay,
Don't be.
so
Don't be.
I
Sorry.
just have done a lot.
I'm sitting here like, fuck, man, you got it, dude. Explain it better than I
What'd you say, John? What'd you say, John?
Well, y'all heard I got the phone call. I gotta run and
John
help
Levy is
my wife at her store fix something. I don't think I'm gonna shut down the stream. I just unfortunately not going to be here. I
For
don't
how
know what
long?
to do. I don't know. It could be half an hour.
Oh my God.
You pick the time, John.
I got to sit here and talk with Polly till you get back.
Lord,
Polly and
forbid it
Daniel
hurts.
and the 59 viewers in here.
Okay, I think we can do that. We'll be
Alright.
back. We'll be here when you get back.
I'm
Yeah.
still here. I'm not going anywhere yet.
Okay.
I'm
waiting
pretty
on her
sure
to give
that
you-
Daniel can talk for at least 15 minutes, and we'll just let Eric have the next 15.
I'm just sad I'm
I
going to
could
miss
start
it.
reading
I'll have to
precepts
watch the
from the
replay of my own
You
stream.
will. That's funny.
I
We'll
got
miss you.
I got pictures. We can make this like a classroom. I can
Well,
get a
John's got to be able to share the
projection
screen here. I think.
I can get a
I'll
projection
check that
board.
out.
Oops.
It says,
Can't do it.
yeah, one participant can share at a time right now. It's set to, so.
Awesome.
I'll put it on Catfish. He looks better than I do.
Oh God, no.
It's just a blurry image.
Your guys' cameras are all nice, and mine's like, I'm the only real person here. That's how you know.
Yeah, you're a parent.
No, I had to use crappy tech to make sure you knew I was real.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. I don't want that facial recognition stuff pixelating my face improperly.
Put the water between your hands and feel love and gratefulness, thankfulness to
Right.
for the water. Restructure the water yourself. Don't
But
just let it sit.
Not just water, Eric.
Well, I'm just saying. I just saw red clouds mention about let it sit in the sun and moon, and I'm all like, heal it. Yeah, everything. Well, you're 80% water, Daniel. I can heal you too.
Sky Watcher wants to know if we have any
I'm
cucumbers.
swimming.
Well, we can restructure water, and we've seen
I'll be
what
right
our
back.
fields can do. That can permeate, and that's why Reiki works, because you can heal with love and gratefulness. I've seen it work.
Glenn really wants to see you sweat, Polly.
You want to see me sweat?
He was talking about that last night. I want to see Polly sweat.
Yeah, he likes to make me nervous. You won't like me when I'm nervous.
I have no cucumbers today. All I have is a flashlight laying on the table.
You think I'm demanding on a good day when I'm nervous? I have no patience. This is why I never tried to become a doctor, because I have no patience. I don't like waiting in line. I mean, I got to have instant gratification, y'all.
Patience,
Yeah, I've learned to be patient when you're single income. You're patient for everything. Not that I'm single income now, but for years, 19 years.
Well, I had to learn it. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't have patience anymore. I gave that up.
borrowed
I gave
some.
that up along with my mind.
Though I would
borrowed
love
some.
to see Lee do a video showing his face.
Oh
He's
yeah, I
just
would be
done.
like that. I think there
I
is
would
one.
like to
There
see what
was
it looks
one.
like.
Not
His
that
last
I've-
video said he's done. It's his last
There
As
video.
far as we know, we got a hand in a pickle.
Yeah.
No, there was one. I think it was after he did the picture thing where he was walking around his yard because he was having his viewers come over. If they couldn't donate, they could come over and help him on his ranch or farm or wherever he lives. And he was showing, the area where he lived. And
Yeah.
he actually showed himself on camera that one time.
Oh,
I haven't seen him.
I saw the one where he was walking around his farm talking about it, but I didn't see. It must have been a different video.
I like Lee. I personally like Lee. I just think he's misguided and he doesn't understand. He's not willing to change his idea because he has crystallized his opinion.
He's absolutely correct. He knows everything that we know, and he does not dispute the information. The only thing he does dispute is catfish. He doesn't like.
Or me.
He's not
I
like
like
very-
Lee.
Or John.
I don't want to hate anybody.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a personal
I
thing. It's
disagree
not
with
the
him.
information. It's a personal thing.
Maybe the
And
next
it's just
next
it.
live stream I should invite Lee.
Right?
So you can get him to come on.
Yeah.
Debate with us? I mean, why not?
We
I
should
want to
have
hear
people
both
we
sides.
disagree with on our panel.
I
Yeah,
want to
mean,
know
then we
why
could,
he
you know.
disagrees so strongly.
This
Well,
way
I
we
wouldn't-
extend the hand. We extend the hand, and if he graciously refuses, then at least we try to extend a forgiving hand.
He's not going to accept because this woman right here is going to smack him down and he's going to be all crybaby again.
Oh my God.
You're telling me you're a magical thinker.
As quickly as he blocked
Well, you gotta be in this
Not just
reality.
you. He blocks
Like
any
create new
woman that comes on
possibilities
his
using some
channel.
magic.
He
That
can't
says
debate a
anything
woman.
first.
He cannot debate a woman. It is something he is not capable of doing.
Okay. Simple
He's just
fact.
got a lot of insults.
Is an act of magical?
No. It's
Magic.
Find magic.
No. But no, subjective magic. I'm not saying like bibbity boppity boop.
We do.
But
Red.
I'm saying is the
Creator
act of-
gave it to
the
you.
act of
Faithful to the
creation
creator.
magical? Then if the act of creation is magical, who's to say that when you actually get something and understand it, that's not a magical moment by itself? As a revealing.
It's
I
magic.
get what you're saying.
It's all subjective.
Lee had a crush on Eric and then it went south.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's exactly
A
what happened.
bromance.
Ego got in the way.
A bromance.
Well, look, John and I were conferring with each other about Lee's work. Several of his videos were
Oh,
shown.
I know a magic.
And,
I'm just-
then we gave it to Lee, and Lee tried to claim it.
Yes, he has multiple times tried to turn the words around and claim it as his own research, and knowing full well he got it from us.
And I told John, I was like, this is just what he does with this sort of Apophis. And John was like, oh, nah, man, fuck it, just leave him alone. And I went over there and made a comment. And D5 and fucking Daza and all these people. And then he took down 180 of his videos and started really hounding on my ass, women, and promoting Daza as a brilliant scientist. And I have to say, I've watched this happen several times. Everybody I mentioned on my channel as an information source gets hit by the same exact people. Lockwood, he's still got pictures and a video of my house up there. He was fishing for my email, which nobody had, to frame, trying to actively frame
AJ and everything. It's crazy, the network against the truth coming out
Oh
to
yeah.
humanity. And when do you find a mogul like Derek Rose, who has no name in public? But look at how tied in he is with communications and observation networks.
Well, the knowledge
He's
that we're
following me
sharing,
around like a fucking dog.
dude, the knowledge that we're sharing, they have been trying to suppress for so freaking long. It's why the war in Iraq started. They found all those artifacts, and we just went in there and took what we wanted of the artifacts and destroyed the rest so that the information could not get out there.
If they didn't want us to figure out what they were doing, they wouldn't have released the Emerald Tablets of Thoth 1. And they wouldn't be sitting there with 1748 hertz on every goddamn movie screen.
Well, they have good people on, they have spies on their side, just like we have spies on our side.
Well, you know, that was a big sore thumb because I noticed it.
Right, right.
So why are they fucking? I'm sorry. I'm just having a real hard time with it.
Well, there are people who want to freaking hide it, and there are people who want the truth out. You know, there are people like us that want you to know and not forget. Tell your children, tell your grandchildren. And then there are people who are like, we will kill you and your children and your grandchildren if you keep telling people the truth.
Yeah. And it silences so many.
Yeah. Just the threat alone silences so many. I don't want to get involved. I hear every single day.
They threaten my son.
At what point do you say, okay, I didn't want to be involved, but I am involved? I have 5 children out here. I am not going to allow you to continue to make slaves out of my descendants.
You have to make that decision. Are you going to allow this to continue for your children in silence? Or are you going to stand up for your children?
I'm not only going to stand up for my children, I'm going to make damn sure that my children know and that they tell their children and that their children know.
Yes.
This is the only way we can ever hope to make it right is if everybody knows.
Stand strong and give it out.
Okay, so I recently watched the movie
guys,
Wonder
sorry to
Woman.
interrupt, but I'll be back. If you need anything, hit me up on my phone.
I recently watched the movie Wonder Woman, and I couldn't help but notice that when she's learning and discovering her ability, she's crossing her arms.
Been missing you.
She's crossing
doing well.
her arms.
She's what?
Wonder Woman is crossing her arms. And it's reminiscent of what Eric's showing everybody, and you know, using magnet.
We're telling each other without telling each other.
Yeah. and it's like in the conversation, most of the information's in cartoons and movies. It's they have to tell you. They just can't say, hey, look, consider this.
Right.
And like, of course they stretch the truth, but they play within the certain parameters to either make it disbelievable or whatever.
Give me a second, guys.
They have set parameters. They need to tell us what they want to do.
Think of it this way. If sci-fi movies didn't have a piece of truth, the sci-fi movie wouldn't be realistic. So they have to play with the truth to suggest that it might be a little bit of movie magic because they don't want to tell people exactly what's being funded behind the scenes. But they still have to tell you.
Yes. That's how I found the trailer. They told us.
I think there does have to be a certain amount of knowledge out there.
Like look at sci-fi movies. If the science wasn't realistic, why would it be a pursuit of truth? So they have to play with the certain tech and what they discover and certain stuff within parameters to either make it believable and realistic, but still almost disbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truth hits his line.
Did you go to the dentist?
Yeah, I went to the dentist. I didn't have any teeth pulled till March 2nd. So I got another week or two. Or
I
even
hate going to the
I
dentist.
was fucking hungry.
I mean,
It did start with the truth. They started with the explaining why the truth was not actually the truth, how it was actually a lie, and they went from there.
Well, they gave us the truth in the cuneiform. Literally,
Yes.
they couldn't read our language. They stole the pantheon. Marduk became Ra, and his brother Ninzagita became Thoth. Then Thoth sat down there and wrote in very plain fucking words what they're doing to us.
Yes. It's all right. You know what? I wouldn't want to get into Area 51. That's not the place I want to break into. If we're going to storm someplace as the mass public, I think we should storm the Vatican.
Yeah.
They've got way more information in there than they do at Area 51.
Well, it's the Crown Vatican, DC Corporation. As I was saying earlier, we're the Knights of Malta. Our presidents are knighted the Knights of Malta by the Crown. Everybody looks at that as a Cinderella thing. And here's the thing. If you look up Knights of Malta, we are the warring arm of the Catholic Church. We're the Pope's army. We're the enforcement arm of the Crown Vatican. We're that which is going to be tossed under the bus.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're the Spartans. Me, John, Daniel. We're taught from birth that men don't feel, you don't cry.
Right.
And then we're taught to kill, and they never unlearn us.
That is very sad. Relentless Margaret is waiting for someone to debunk him. Relentless Margaret.
I devoted most of my life trying to undo the harm I did as a child, unknowing what I was doing for him. I thought I was on the right track. Fuck, man.
Eric, remind me, who is Relentless Maverick?
Oh, Christ. Bobby. He's the guy in the interview on WSO that turned to Flat Earth Puddle.
He's waiting for someone to debunk him. He's a flat earther.
He's worse than that. He's one of the ones that thinks the moon is a reflection of some kind of.
It's a hologram.
He's been with Derek Bros since the beginning.
The moon's a Chinese hologram. Is that what?
Yeah, kind of. No, well, it's a reflection off a dome that we live in the mud puddle of. Or some shit. I don't fucking understand
it's reflecting off the surface of the ocean.
It's some shit. Yeah,
like
yeah.
Back in the sky.
Yeah, and he does these little flash video things that never fucking line up, and it's like,
may I fly off the handle just a little bit? I want to get into
just a little.
Yeah, just a little bit. Okay. So you tell me. We're gonna talk about Looking Glass. So this is gonna get into conspiratorial topic. Okay, so what's the difference between Looking Glass predicting the future and an algorithm predicting variable outcome? Nothing. There is no difference. And this has always been the problem with predicting shit, is it's always used to predict how somebody should achieve a certain outcome. And, the computer can't distinguish between feeling the outcome and logically processing what's right and wrong. So you want to talk about Project Looking Glass and what it really is? You talk about the algorithm and what is predicting everything on the net and why it needs a 5G interface to have data transmission, because it can't keep up with the unpredictability of the human emotion. just like every other leader, the AI wants control.
The funny thing about the internet, let's talk about that for a second. Everybody's on Facebook right now. They think they're avoiding mass media. They're literally posting the lies mass media wants their friends to see, and they feel very happy in helping humanity see and wake up to exactly what fucking mass media wants you to see. And they're interacting as they are designed to do. That's why I don't Facebook. Everybody I go over there, I get so pissed off, and it took me a while to realize that they're sharing lies openly. Because I'd be up there, I'm like, why are you people ignoring every fucking word I've ever said after you've asked me to be your friend? Knowing who I am and why I stepped down, why are you ignoring the warnings and keep posting their excuses? Like,
Right.
I got rid of all my social media. I couldn't handle it. I was losing my mind.
I go over there and I talk to the Pope, I talk to the president, I talk to my governor. I throw out public service announcement, public service warning videos that I make specifically for a public servant because I was one. And I use strong language, which usually gets me blocked. But I know as a result of
Now here's something I don't get, because Eric, you know my language. I use the same language. I openly call the elite slave masters. I call it like
I am both typically verbal.
Not once. I might get a little post saying I'm missing content, but I never get banned from Facebook, not in 5 years or 3 years now.
Holly, I'm actually a trackable human being. You can look up the Davis Hempbill, the first unanimous decision in North Carolina's legislature history against a federally implemented core curriculum. I stood up against that, and the state said unanimously.
Right.
I did all that.
Because you don't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
I was trying to fight for people and what was right. And I did it to the point the government absorbed me into it, had me fooled that I was making things better, until the day I reported we were on our side to Jim Davis and was informed of what was going to happen right up to the end. And bombs dropping. Who, when, where, why. And I've been very specific about it.
Yeah.
Who, when, where, and why. And we're literally watching the Ukrainian-Russian thing that I warned everybody was coming.
Okay.
As the reason why. Okay. And the South China Sea.
I know you're not reading the chat, Eric, but 74 Sunday 47 says that the Four Corners Monument between Utah and Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona, that X is the spot for the Halls of Amente.
Well,
that
I've said that several times. The entrance is not far from it. When Toth tells us about the Halls of Amente, very clearly they describe in quite a few texts about the land where the horned beasts are hunted. And we know the horned beasts being the buffalo that were hunted by the original dark-haired people, the descendants of Cain.
So what are you thinking down there in the Grand Canyon where they found all the Egyptian artifacts?
The pyramid and all this stuff, yes, probably, because when he flew off, he had sealed the halls of Amenti, and they flew eastward to the land of Kim.
Yeah.
He left the halls behind. Everybody's convinced that the halls are actually in Egypt, being the land of Kim.
I don't think
they are not. They are not there. They are in the land where the fucking short-horned beasts were hunted. Right. Here in the Midwest, in the West, in the Four Corners region, yes, absolutely. And the Guardians are not the Hopi, which everybody believes. It's the one Indian nation that was never molested by the U.S. government. They were so deep in the canyon, nobody ever knew they existed until 1960.
And they're going to stop us at the Rainbow Bridge, and it's going to be John that gets us across.
He brought us the right frequency. You bear a mark, I bear a mark. I brought the language and humanity to itself. John,
I'll get you in the halls of the Minty. You get me across that bridge.
couldn't have done it. Well, I know it's broken. It's going to happen. It's already, Creator put this in their minds in a dream, very specifically how it's going to lay out. They wrote about it on rocks for centuries.
In every freaking culture, every culture on the planet.
And isn't it funny that all of a sudden I woke up and read the language? I was looking forever to the point that Derek Rose has literally had an agent named Brandon inside my home claiming to be the true white brother. And I was looking, and there you were, Paul, the whole time. John brought the free. I hadn't even read this whole prophecy. I didn't realize it was John until I read it again. I'm like, fuck, man, he brought the right frequency. He did. I was sitting there scratching my head on that shit because John was the plate. I mean, I found the frequency, but he found the plate. I had no idea what I was trying to do math because I'm a mathematician. I'm not as pragmatic as John. John saw the frequency, like what it was, found one that matched.
Yeah, he did.
All that was missing was 1748. But once he brought that frequency, I found 1748.
And you're like, oh, that's the piece of the puzzle.
5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes. We had 1748. And then I was like, what? What do we do with that? And then, you know, I went 1748, human biology, bam, we got the oscillations. All of a sudden, the fingerprint thing starts making sense. And I'm like, oh my God. It's been a
and then it was like, oh my God, it's truly a unified field theory.
Proven on a wall.
Yeah. On
So,
every wall, in every culture.
And then people start shooting all these old.
Okay, I just drew something. I just drew something, and I'm gonna just, you know. You see the pyramid magnets, the Taurus stone?
Mm-hmm.
Red Cloud Y is pyramids in the Grand Canyon? What do you mean, why are pyramids in the Grand Canyon?
Those were where the original gods' settlement was, and they destroyed it when they left. They caused the flood.
Oh, yes, they did.
It's written.
Yes, they did.
In Gilgamesh, and the Dogons talk about.
There was some nuclear activity involved in that because
absolutely. They slashed and burned anything they couldn't drown out.
Stretches of land all across the world that have evidence of nuclear reactions occurring.
Yes.
Basically, the way I see how they screw the system is somehow they retain and get rid of whatever technology that's too beneficial for a short time, and they let somebody else try to rediscover it. But as Solomon said, there's nothing new underneath the sun. So everything that's ever existed already exists, and they're trying to profiteer off things that they're claiming that they discovered, but they're actually rediscovering.
No, these discoveries
no, they're rediscoveries.
They're really not, though. They were thefts. They went and stole this stuff from other cultures and started trickling out like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
As a means
they needed
suppression and control.
Optic fiber, Pyrex, for example. Pyrex was created by accident, Daniel. They were trying to figure out a new color. Well, we get colors by adding elements to the silica and melting it down, much like the natural progression of a crystal. And we get our colors like red is for gold, blue comes from cobalt. Well, you can't tell me nobody had tried boron before.
Is that gassing from vapors? Like say when you burn copper, you get that bluish flame. Is that from spraying the metal onto the glass?
Yes.
Okay. So
That's what I do with silver.
itemization transfer.
Yes.
Okay.
That's how I make everything color change.
You, have you ever
That
done
is
pottery?
silver
You know what a
burned onto
round
the
glaze is?
surface and molecularly adhered at about 3,200 degrees to the glass. So anything black behind it will, just like a mirror, reflect this, and it'll turn purples and stuff because it's not a really heavy coating of silver. It's just a really light blue to purple spectrum of silver. Now, if I was to do the gold with it, it would show the entire spectrum: red, blue, one yellow, violet, when it colored in background. If I did it really, really heavy in either metal, it would reflect that color of the metal at thus the mirror is all silver because it's silver matte.
If magnets work like I think they work, then to lift the Georgia stone, you're going to need a pyramidal, a Taurus stone, and everybody up to the number required, I'm not quite sure, all touching the same stone to force the field up to lift it.
No, they're moving those stones through vibration of the frequency.
You can do that too. There's a couple of different ways, and absolutely with the magnetic force, you can move.
Vibrating the frequency softens the stone.
I'm just thinking like Thoth. I'm gonna lift it like Merlin.
Yes.
Sorry.
Well, that, and you need the cones to project that energy through the central.
Yeah.
And it comes through with vibration, obviously too. At 1748 hertz is really good when you hit.
And then on top of that, consider tuning forks to catch and bend the frequency, because you need to have something oscillating at that frequency to use as tuning forks.
Hallback effect is
kind of, the picture of the Egyptian picture with Horus and Ra bending the field. I'm assuming they're doing that with tuning forks.
Frequency.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so you need a tuning fork to take control of the field that you're generating.
I got my tuning fork built in.
You got it. You got it.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a built-in hallback.
I know.
We oh wow, we're big.
Sure. I'm just talking.
Yeah. Oh, I love when you talk.
You get Eric all excited.
You do.
I know. I see his hair standing up on end.
Hard nipples.
Diamond cutters.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it definitely stretch diamond.
Hey, so I got a quick question. Are diamonds indestructible?
No.
No, you can destroy it.
Yeah, you could destroy it. Okay, but in theory,
you can take it back down to its atomic.
You can add atoms, add electrons, or subtract electrons, and make a whole new freaking thing.
If you were to make zirconian diamonds, although they're not completely indestructible, you make diamond dust and add it to charcoal. Because it's a crystal, it won't melt at the low temperature of fire, but you can use diamond dust as a fuel additive because it will retain heat, and it's a crystalline structure that's going to retain electrons.
You can do a lot.
I'm just, I have nothing to do but time.
I've been shown that geodes are fine, but these crystals
and these are all comments that I've talked in other chats, and I'm finally now bringing it back home.
You put some feelers out.
Well, yeah, you gotta confirm shit with other people, smart people.
Are you beating up trolls, Cat? Okay.
I love you guys. You guys are my family.
Are there trolls in the chat?
Cat hit somebody. They were getting on the cat's list.
Uh-oh.
she's a karate chopper. She's dangerous.
I'm so glad to hear, because I wasn't even paying no attention. Well, what did they say? Was it something we want to discuss?
I have no idea. I always trust Kat. She's pretty good with that. Something distracting, I'm sure, or juvenile.
Like, for example, if you were to take one of those Indian Vajaryas and add a Taurus stone to the bottom and a pyramid thing to the top, you know, you could project a pretty decent field in a focused beam.
One thing I learned about our magnets in nature.
Something that would look like kind of like a Merkaba.
Kinda.
We can form a Merkaba with
Why not?
several people, and that's an overlaid hallback. It's 2 hallbacks overlaid is what you're actually looking at.
But looking at these ancient artifacts, I think the ancients understood how to harness bioelectric current.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Okay, I know.
That hallback is very
Right.
important, and it can be used in several different applications.
Oh, very many applications.
Moving your stones to interstellar travel.
Mhm.
Many of Native American tribes, 6 of them in particular. I've spoken to 350 of them by telephone, spoken to their elders, went over these things, and I ran into some folks that claimed to come here in a shroud of mist through a love circle.
Oh, I love circle.
Through a love circle, what they or
I want to be part of a love circuit.
well,
I want to be, yeah.
exactly, and they had held this in their handing down of knowledge traditions,
Love circle.
and understood that when I came to them with this connection to Mother Earth and the physics of what we do,
So
it completely started clicking in their heads.
is that old?
That's how we get back home.
Would the old symbolism be the weird thing with the planet, with everybody holding hands around the planet?
We don't even have to.
Would that be an original?
I gotta say this much. I love Carrie, and she came down one day when I was moving on water.
You show it. You exhibit.
And she grabbed my hand, and as she did that, I watched the water jump twice as much. I mean, it freaked me out. I've spoken about our stacking of magnets, but when she came and actually made physical contact, we stacked.
You felt that shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
John
Try
says he's on
feeling
his way
it
back.
1,200 miles away.
John says he's on his way back now.
Nice. It's well, anything in Earth's field is affected by any other magnet in Earth's field. So if you're on Earth's field with your magnet,
Except when you're wearing shoes. Except when you're wearing shoes because of rubber.
You can reach out and hook up your magnet with any individual or any other and all other magnets on her magnet. That's the beautiful thing about a magnet chain. And it's instantaneous at a distance, that communication of intent. Is that little itchy feeling that you feel almost home. It doesn't have to be special occasion. It's just you get that almost when you realize you're almost home. It's that realization. It's that little pump of energy that you feel in your chest. That is literally our old language. Mm-hmm. And that is literally why your dog knows you're fucking home before you get home. They speak our old language. They listen. They wait. It's the only thing that makes sense. We're on that magnet all the time anyways. We were formed in her frequencies. That's why the Schumann is so important to us.
Do you want to hear a funny thing I thought of just now?
Yeah.
Why do we take vitamins? Why don't we give vitamins to our vegetables? Because it can filter the vitamin, right? And be beautiful vegetables.
I do give vitamins.
I'm just, keeping it real.
I do give my vegetables vitamins. I'm growing tomatoes up here with
No, but you know how we take multivitamins? Why do we take the vitamins out of the vegetables? Let's put the vitamins back in the vegetables.
I am just tired of people injecting my vegetables with all kinds of weird crap.
Someone at the door, I think.
I think my vegetables with their natural vitamins.
Yeah,
Someone
well,
in the chat was mentioning your fan, Eric, and every time you get excited or start to talk about your fan,
How's my sound today?
it's really good. It's clear. You know, you're keeping
it
your
does sound
light
good
level.
until you start talking about your own personal magnet, and then it starts to do that little
Yeah, I'm
noise.
trying to stay away from it a little bit so I don't affect it as much. But yeah, I'm more aware of it, and
It's certainly
it is what it is. I've replaced the fan so many times. I'm like, it's not the fan. It's
Eric,
definitely something I'm doing
You
good.
do not feel bad. I have burnt out 16 GPU fans. I'm pretty sure it's because they're from China, but
I'm gonna go
if
upstairs.
that shit was made in Mexico, it wouldn't happen like that.
I know they want to make good products. They can't sell anything.
For the longest time, I thought that the only thing that Mexico exported was marijuana and tequila.
And don't forget the tequila worm. That's how you know it's a good bottle. Why can't we inject the vitamins? No, I don't mean like injecting, but like you take like a multivitamin tablet, you crush it up, and you add it to the soil, and then you water the soil as you regularly would, and you give your plants literal mineral vitamins. Like I was just playing with a thought, but it's like, why do we take the vitamins out of the vegetables again?
So they're nutritious.
Well, I want better vegetables. I want some broccoli that has hair on it. Like, not gross hair, but like manly hair. It's like, hey, if you eat me, you're gonna get hair on your chest. I'm like, oh,
I don't want broccoli anymore.
I'm making a joke. Popeye stuff and grow some muscles, some brain muscles.
Why is it when you start talking about hairy broccoli that I suddenly thought of Dr. Jellyfingers?
Oh, my brother.
Where is
My
Joe?
brother sent me this weird thing where they fur tofu and then they deep fry it, and it like, no wonder you all getting sick over in your foreign country. Like, throw away some of the mold. Not everything is good. I don't know, just he was like, look at this disgusting stuff. And I'm like, why would you send me that? It's disturbing. But it's like fermented tofu blocks that they've let cured. So they grow some kind of fur. And then they take these things and then they.
That's how we discovered penicillin.
Oh yeah, but let's do
we need some of that fungus. I mean, Eric would not have been so entertaining yesterday if he had not had the fungus.
Who knows? For all I know, I'm like, look at this, it's gross. For all I know, that's probably why they have such great immune systems. Like, I'm like, ew. What do I know? I'm talking about hairy broccoli.
Yeah,
we ate mud pies when we were kids. I don't think any of my children have ever eaten mud pies. Maybe if they had eaten some mud pies, they wouldn't be sick all the day.
I had to be silly. Sorry, guys.
Right. I don't really recommend eating mud pies. If there's children watching this, don't eat the mud pie.
Yeah, no shit. Don't do that at home.
Especially if you have a dog in your yard.
Yeah.
That was entertaining, y'all. Okay, so Ken, get back to Ken McClellan.
Eric. Well, he gets a lot of his information from Old Hebrew, which is the first original dark-haired people. And he ships.
Who is Shimu? He always says at the end of his videos, may Shimu bless you and keep you. Who is that?
I don't know. One of the original names for
I have hunted for that name. Like, I don't know where to look. I've hunted and hunted and hunted for that name, and I can't find a reference to it anywhere.
Yeah.
And I've even asked him, and he's not responded. I'm like, did you make that name up? Is that what you call the Force?
The Force. Yeah, you have to wonder. Some of
Yeah,
the
because
things
I've
he
never
does.
heard it before.
Yeah,
I mean, at first I thought it was a reference to a god in India. Hi, John. John's home.
welcome back, John.
So if anybody knows, y'all send me a link or at least tell me if I'm spelling it correctly.
But like his last video, he talks about Ron Horus, red and the blue. He always talks about the red and blue.
Right.
Of course, that's what got my attention about it. Some old,
Well, memory
Yes.
trick, because that's who he's referring to as Yahweh.
yeah, well, it's,
So where did he get that from?
well, the thing is, look, a lot of people forget the fact that these Anunnaki that are controlling us are actually controlled from planet Anu. That's the leader of this.
I'm a fungi.
And that's who they give all the homage to.
We're all fungi.
Grounding will cure just about anything wrong with you.
And that would be anything, including the old.
Is it Vishnu that is he saying Vishnu? Because I know who Vishnu is, but I've never heard of Shiva.
I think he said, which is, but it's all Anunnaki too. That's the whole thing. Everything mentions, every god mentions is Anunnaki lies. And that's why it drives me crazy about it. He's not wrong about when and where and how and why, but he keeps going into this pole shift thing. You know how I am about that. I'm like, fuck, man, if you haven't noticed that our goddamn moon is doing a part with it, how are you going to talk about a coming pole shift? We pole shifted.
Yeah.
It's been 10 goddamn years, 11 years that we've been on our side. And it seems like nobody can look.
Well, I think that by shift he means a reversal.
Well,
He means a total freaking whoop, you know?
Well,
we're going to do that, but we're in mid reversal right now. He keeps talking about a total and a reversal back. And I'm all like, we're already in stage one. And he keeps talking about the going that way and then coming back. And I'm all like, we have been in stage one for a while. We're looking for number 2 already, is where I'm at with it.
Well, what I'm seeing,
us before the first tilt.
we do roll back.
We're
Like,
going
this-
to.
we're
And we're
gonna-
going to spin differently too when
Yeah.
we get attached to the opposite.
And then
pole.
eventually these systems will move back out.
Yeah, and we'll move with them.
You think we're going to move with them?
We can't be a planet on a sun without a moon, number one. You have to be a moon. And kind of funny, Toth has moons about our size.
I can try.
He's right behind us, waiting against Mama. It's going to be about a 6-day orbit on my math, going around that planet. It gives us 3 days light, 3 days darkness.
Okay, I increased mic volume.
Not just once.
Okay. Sounds better.
Perfect.
I think that's the 3 days of darkness. It's going to be a bit better.
The sun
also talks
covered in
about-
corona holes.
We go back to the original sun. The blue sun tries to protect us. These are things Ken even said in his last video. By protecting us, we have to get behind the sun because we're in front of the blue sun. The blue sun starts plasmatically interacting with the other 2 suns we're there. Not us, the planet. It can't do that if it wants to protect one. To protect one, we have to roll back. We have to come and move to her brother, and he will roll back behind Rob. We can't roll back ourselves because it takes a second body to that Lagrange point circuit, it won't hold. That's why they brought in that move to lock us in with that static circuit. They had to lock us in with the Lagrange point holes in the solar sun. And that's why these planets have to surround us to put this magnetic pressure on us. Eventually, they're going to back off these moons. The sky's going to open up all that Cherenkov. You'll see the giants in front of us and bounce. That's going to be what they call the great day of the Lord. When we see there's and we're back to the original sun. Now they're going to take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
You got me all excited, Eric. I had to take a deep breath.
Well, you should have watched my older videos.
I did. But you're just talking about it, you know. I get all excited, and I'm just like,
that's what's coming.
It's like
That's
rewatching Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan.
I can literally explain why they wrote what they wrote in that book that they wrote, The Great Terrible Day of the Lord. What they're telling you about it, how the sky's going to roll back like a scroll and you'll see the heavens, the gods in front of you.
You know, it's funny how no matter how they word it, you know, when you see it happening, you're like, oh, that's what they meant.
That's what that looks like.
Oh, look, the sky opened up. Look, everybody, before you miss it.
Yeah, well, I've literally watched
I told
giant
you so.
There's a lot of people
open up the sky because it got so close.
Yeah,
and me and my oxygen guy sitting there looking at it, and it rolled back. And what fascinated me the most about it was the way the Cherenkov radiation rolled in, brilliant blue like a fall. And it looked like a shadow in the same place, in the same sky every day. And my oxygen guy has seen it several times since then and before that. And another guy I've met has seen the same thing. They work out stores and they see it more than I have.
Yeah, and the reason why you don't see it because the sky is blue.
The sky is blue, and the Cherenkov is blue all the way to that planet. And they're sentient beings, and how can I say that? Well, we drew them as people on those walls because they really are, and the Anunnaki mistook them as gods. They've been fed to us as gods since then, and they were drawn as suns, planets, and the story of our trapping him, getting trapped here. Well, it's like Ra is what we would label as an archangel. He's one of the higher angels. He's got the conical hat. That energy transference of the Brooklyn current to the planets, which are lesser angels of creation, their first creation. And we're even told that in Genesis, that they're first creation. Yet all through the book, they want us to discount first creation. Like we're above first creation. We're not. We're not above nature. We're not above first creation. We're actually stewards of nature. And people forget this. It's because you got to wonder, I'm just a little peant. How am I going to protect a buffalo or an elephant from well, then all of a sudden you get the concept of, oh, fuck me, I got to back. And it all starts making sense how you do with the formation healing. We're literally designed to do just that. It's something I went through a lot of proving to prove to myself. I think I'm glad I put it all up there. Because I would beat myself up for talking the way I do 3 years ago. Because I didn't believe anything other than I was on a dead rock or space with no God in sight. I had no idea I had an magnet in me. And even when I found out I did, I got afraid of one of these angels. Because I reached out with the literal intent to grab a hold of the magnet physics, try to take my electron magnet to the same frequency as the one below me, but I had no concept of there being a literal individual there over the magnet. which talked back to me instantly. I went to some tried to possess me. That program kicked in. And fear overwhelmed for days until I realized I could breathe.
Right.
My cataracts had gone. And I didn't get a bad feeling from it. I just got scared. So I realized in myself I needed to go back and see what the fuck was going on. And came to the realization that this is a sentient being that we're riding on the back of. And she's real good at being a planet. And then I saw all these things coming in from the sun, and I saw that planet that day. And I made a video that day about how fucking, oh my God, I was shaking because I'm looking at this giant object, but I had no concept until later that night. I'm sitting there looking, and on the wall, I see Isis, Mother Earth, next to her brother Thoth and Ra, the sun, her father, pouring her first sentient thought over. It hit me. Mother Earth is not the only sentient being out there. And then I started looking at the stars. They're not just balls of light. They're all induction furnaces of life. And there's in there to make that Lagrange point happen. And that's the ultimate symbiotic relationship to two souls. To become a son.
It's funny, we look at the stars, and maybe as a lot of people, they don't realize that they're actually looking at suns. I think that a lot of perception is a star. They disassociate a star from a sun.
Right, that does happen. They don't think of, oh, I see this little star out there. That star is a sun, probably with planets and moons of its own.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
The forest of life, everything. How can you be omnipotent and omnipresent if you're not there and living vicariously through life itself at 1748 hertz and damn adamant with us, telling me we're the only lights? No. Obviously not. Someone came here and told us that lie. Convinced us.
If you look up at all those stars and realize that they are all suns, there's no way that you could think to yourself, we are the only light out there. I mean, the law of probability alone says that that's just not possible.
Or even realize that the possibility that we live in a trinary system,
Well, right. The first indicator that we live in a multi-sun system, being either 2 or 3 or more, is the outer planet orbits, where they are egg-shaped. If you do a simple binary search through Hubble data, every multiple sun system that has the egg shape.
Yeah.
There are only 20% of the known universe that don't have multiple suns.
Single sun systems are very rare.
And each one of them has a very uniform orbit
Circular,
to all their planets.
Spiral.
So, and if you watch our spiral, even in the models, they show that spiral rotating around the sun. Well, why wouldn't it just go like this every time? Because literally something's dragging on it, making it be an opal.
And if you look at the constellation model programs that are out there, by default they're set to show round orbits. But if you change the setting to the actual orbits, it shows the egg-shaped orbits. Mm-hmm. So I mean, the information's there. It's just you just gotta kind of look through the settings and see.
Yes, you have to have an amount of knowledge and discernment to see the truth in the lies, and that's where you just have to have a base of a little bit of physics to understand the way things work.
You got minor burns from your iPhone. That's scary.
Yeah, because a lot of phones are capable. Well, are capable of wireless charging. So I think it's people that may be sensitive, or that coil is still there even though they have it plugged in on a USB cable. That coil may be active somehow, or and they could see that somehow. Yeah, I'm sure it's very rare.
A defective something.
Yeah, when they made that comment earlier about it, I was like, I could see that with wireless charging phones.
You ever put a battery in your pocket with change in there?
No.
It will burn you right through your clothes.
A 9-volt battery, yeah.
It will burn you through your clothes, I promise you.
Don't put any of these in your pocket, that's for sure.
Yeah, those ones are big.
Right.
They love to short down.
Yeah, I've seen all that. I leave mine sit over there.
Start a fire in your pocket quick.
At a safe distance, Eric.
You know, I saw Derek Bros on TV talking about the Napster shit, and what I literally addressing Congress about it, and I was like, I had been in the Navy and knew electronics that I could tear apart a computer. I've never operated one at that time, and I decided I didn't want to because of people like that. And then 20 some years later, I log online with this Moonskin carburetors. I can't find anybody talking about it because I killed my TV a long time ago. Realizing that the programming in the TV was for me, not the program. So, literally on patent as a mind control device, I gave it up before my son was born. So then to find his ass fucking following me around on the internet, the very same fucking person that I avoided the internet because of, kind of creeped me out a little bit.
You guys are keeping me out with your smart devices.
So I try to keep away from all that tech, and it really does rub me a little bit wrong. I know I do a live show every day. That began because I've been out here pointing at the moon, and literally thousands and thousands of people would tell me I'm just a doomer gloomer and I want everybody to die.
We just want to see you with your shirt off.
See? Well, I started doing that.
Nobody listening.
These people don't know me because I'm over here angry because I've been told what's coming and nobody's listening to me.
Because you're next.
See, but it is. It's a. Oh my God! I can't tell you what it's done to my soul.
Eric, a lot of people are listening to you.
I know.
Just because they don't subscribe doesn't mean that they haven't heard it. And I am amazed that like this past year, so many people have sent me links that correlate with our data. And I'm like, yeah, I knew that because of this. And they're like, oh, you're so right. It's like the more connections we make, the more people see that everything you said was the truth.
Well, this information.
Yeah, they just have to see it from their frame of reference that works for them.
Well, that's why all I've got anymore is just, I've got the oldest first for you.
Because if we start from the beginning, this is
my
like a
best.
long video.
I did my best to do what I did. That's all I got.
I think
hard to watch.
I think you have a lot to be proud of and grateful for, Eric, because you have done exactly as you set out to do. You have informed so many people.
That's how the information is going to get back to you, man. It's definitely not going to go through. I just hoped in my delusion to do something, to make something change in their plan, because I didn't like it at all. I'm watching it. Nothing has changed.
Well, look at what's going on in Canada. Those people saw the horrible BLM riots last year where they were burning buildings down, beating each other up, killing people, beating on cops, all of that. They saw all of that happening and they said, we're going to do a peaceful protest. And look what it got them. So, everybody sees what's happening. You're not going to stop what's happening. Stopping what happening isn't even the goal. We have to let it happen. If we don't let it happen, it continues on like it is.
Well, no. We have a choice right now, and I understand humanity doesn't know the information we've got.
You're right. They're misinformed. They have to
And
have information.
not only about the magnet, but I mean about what our government's doing. What I've been informed by an actual sitting senator about what's fixing to happen. Nobody has this information, and I see the confusion. It is aggravating. I see the trucker thing, and I've got to tell you, it's been exactly what they planned on being.
Right. Exactly what they planned. And
They
now they have someone to blame for the food shortages.
Well, and they want to get outrage and confusion going on because they really need that internal struggle and escalation of fire going on, regardless if it's a neighborhood fire or an all-out fucking anarchy. They want that reaction, right? Because they've already got the troops to control it in place. That's the part I am like sitting here waiting on. I'm like, oh my God, this is ugly. And I've done the best I think I'm able to do to get the information out there as to how they're going to do it. And unfortunately, a big portion of our population has already taken the bait, the mark of the beast. And I named it so at Patient 30 globally before it was even supposedly in a solution to give to the first patient long before. And I just did a simple da-da-da, and that's all I can do is just show you my research. Just like now that it's happening, you're seeing other people doing the same research I was doing back then, coming up with the same fucking results of heart problems. You're going to kill everybody that's taking those.
Right.
Especially under the pretext of our human spiking, and it's going to set them off with the propensity to have emotional issues anyways and not being able to control things. You're going to see acts of rage. Here comes your zombie apocalypse. We have it in us to heal these people.
How many people are watching, John?
51.
I wanted to say something about those truckers in Canada. When they decided they were going to start removing the trucks and, hauling off the truckers, I have a lot of friends who do prepper videos where, they teach you how to store and can foods and, just provide survival gear, whatever. And my prepper groups are telling me that agencies like the Red Cross are coming to their door and inquiring about their MREs and canned foods that they have stored, asking them if they will donate them, if they can purchase them. They're trying to buy out the preppers. They're trying to buy their stash. And the Red Cross has absolutely no need to go to an individual and ask for stored food goods.
The government knows we're up food, and they want them dependent on them.
They want them dependent on them. That's why they're coming for your stored goods. Because if you have stored goods, then you don't have a dependency.
And as usual in government, that's said about 2 weeks before the disaster sets off the need. So I'm giving it a couple of weeks. I've been giving it a couple of weeks for a couple of days.
A little more tomorrow.
Yeah, I said February, March is going to change the world.
Which is pretty much what everybody's saying, March. And I see our harvest coming. I mean, I see things going bad, March and April. I see things getting real bad and a lot of people going, hey, what the hell's going on? But I see a harvest coming.
Yeah, the last summer.
Right.
Will be sent to the 33 sitting in the halls. They'll get their last summer. if they decide to feast on it. That's in their hearts. They've started to get trickle information by now down there, probably about what we've discovered. I'm certain they've had their feelers in our fucking ass for years.
Well,
so that puts the ball in their court to decide if they want to make that change of heart, go home and build their magnetosphere. They want to continue sucking soul juice. That's up to them.
Eric, let's just hope we get past February 22nd, 2022, okay?
Okay. A lot of twos.
There's definitely a lot of twos. We know how they like their number game.
With a zero in the middle.
Well, that's another worrisome thing, eh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I've been noticing that. Look, if I was to set a calendar, I would begin at this day and work my way back. I mean, look who set the calendar. Crown Vatican, you see. And, you know, I mean, like the original.
No, Jeepo, but that weather is not going to be the decider on the food. The food's already been decided.
Yeah, food's gone.
We are in a major food shortage globally.
Not just that. If conflict does break out all over, you can just imagine how that will affect international supply chains. Everything that we rely on from foreign countries will cease until people can figure out who they can trust.
Well, I don't trust myself half the time.
I don't trust myself half the time. I say stupid things. I do stupid things.
You're not alone.
Like,
The police are most definitely militarized. Those are not normal policemen up there in Canada. And let me say something else about the police in Canada. When you cover your name and badge number, you're a secret police force. You're not a police force.
Yep.
You are a military police force. You're a secret police. You're the Gestapo.
Since 99, they changed the literal hiring policy nationwide, and it's been backed up by Supreme Court several times.
Yeah. They want those low IQ power trippers.
Oh no. And if that offends you, your kid or you or a cop, you know what? That's off. I did not like the policy. I got cut out because of the policy. I wanted to be a police officer. I scored a 98 on my ASVAB, and they literally told me to my face, I'm too highly qualified. They use the argument that higher intelligent people are a high-end rollover, so they got to train and train and train. And I know better. Higher educated people, or not necessarily educated people, higher intelligent people that have that propensity of critical thought will put an illegal order and or an order going against our Constitution, which is swear to uphold as it themselves and or armed individual of the armed forces, would have the distinction between right and wrong.
Yeah.
And they want people to blindly follow orders for a paycheck.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people are out there thinking, those police, those are our sons and daughters. The military service members aren't going to attack their own people. Oh, yes, they are. They absolutely will. There's a lot of people on this planet that like that kind of thing. They will. There are people that would do it. You don't even have to offer them $1. Just put a gun in their hand.
We need to drop all the guns unilaterally and come together in the understanding that our moon's doing cargo. I mean, that's all I got.
See with this protest has been peaceful, at least on the protester side.
If the truckers were like
something, make it into something, but
if the truckers were actually based on something real, like, hey, look, there is no supply for the supply chain because our moon's doing a cartwheel and your crops died, it wouldn't be televised.
Right. They're using those truckers. It's a staged event. I hate to say it like that, because I think those truckers believe that they're trying to do something good. A lot of them are out there fighting for their people, not knowing that they're being taken advantage of, they're being manipulated.
Yes, I've been warning of this very scenario, and this is unfolding in front of my face. And
We need the truckers to stop trucking so we can blame them for the shortages.
Well, it's beyond them. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
If you start pointing at the moon and the crops died, it's way beyond government. And the government is just blowing smoke screen. That's cold. Because common cold has been around since we have. They can make it more virulent and easier to catch with their mRNA treatments and make everybody scared about this. But the reality is, the reason that's happening is because there is no food, and they can't control a population that knows their food is run out.
Right, they want you terrified.
They have GMO engineered it to die.
They want you dependent on them. They want you to come to them begging for help. We're going to keep you in power forever because you're going to save us. People, don't be fooled. I don't know what to tell you, but don't fall for it.
And regardless of what they do, kicking and screaming, there's still going to be three sons that come together and sing a chord that they've been fearing since they started doing this. You better be in the right frequency or you're going to be love dust.
You're absolutely right. It is staged and filtered with innocent people and provocateurs. You're absolutely right in that statement.
It is. Yes. Truth mixed with lie, and they hype it up, and they get divided people, they get confused, they get angry, and things start burning.
Now they're talking about on our chat, they're talking about Tartaria, Atlantis, and Lemuria and everything. And they're talking about going underground. And I think that's how we will get past that big blast of UV radiation.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Hopi, I spoke with the first billionaire chief on Navajo land during one of their most holy days, the 21st of December, with my son, and I gave him seeds to one of Mother's ancient cedar trees to grow back when we bounced to Ra as a peace offering to bring home the families and come together with their brothers, the Hopi. He was very happy to tell me that the Hopi have different teeth than us. They were carnivores and they ate people. And with hate in his eyes, I mean, just hate for his brother Hopi. And happy to tell me how they were not allowed back in their kivas. He also shared with me about the ark they have about 5 miles down. Well, I didn't let a breath escape, and I needed, from my heart, as I always speak, I hit him pretty hard with, well, neither are you. And
he didn't like that.
Well, he kind of looked at me like, number one, I'm a white boy. Number two, he already looked at me and said, I know who you are, but I don't know your name, twice. Right. And when I said that, it shocked him. And he started speaking again about the art. And I was like, are you? More like forcefully. And he looked down and said, no. He had to literally view himself in his mind as his brother. Oh, he couldn't get in there at night. And I took the next breath to tell him why. Because he hates his brother. Your hearts are divided. You have to be a straight heart and accept each other as students. And then he agreed to bring home 6 tribes that were on the West Coast and having visions of drowning, which was my main goal for going there in the first place. Is their elders said, we would take it. And I did the best I could. And it turned into that conversation. And I hope that might be some groundbreaking between us, because time's running short for these guardians of the old gods to come to their conclusions on this too.
We need every heart. It's our magnets. It isn't like the esoteric things. We can literally stack the fuck out of this magnet here and make titans shake. It's not titans that are small enough to actually set foot on this planet. It's titans that make us look like the best fucking Mercury next to it that we can make shake. Some of these planets on Horus are literally larger than the sun. 2-3 years ago, Christian, a roommate of mine, good friend, and I were in the Walmart parking lot, standing outside, not behind a piece of glass, mind. And in the sky, right next to the sun, I'm seeing the moon. And I know it's not the moon, it's white, but it's reflecting, and it's right by the sun. And it shouldn't be anything I should be able to see if it was on this side of the sun. And I'm realizing that I'm looking at a planet that's the same size as our fucking sun on the other side of the sun. And I don't know how far away the planet was. I had no reference for it. It may be 10 times the size of the sun for all I fucking know, but it was on the other side of the sun, casting a reflection. And Christian and I had a conversation about it. He was one of my biggest skeptics. And I said, you do realize that has to be at least the size of the sun. I give you that. That's nothing I've ever been told. And then later, like last year, all of a sudden, I'm getting oxygen, and the whole sky opens up to this massive fucking planet that makes us look like a moon. This shit's real, folks. These planets are massive, and we can make them shake with our power of magnetism and love. And it was written in stone, it was written in tradition. And that depends on you, each and every one of them. Not just me and Polly, Daniel, and John. Everybody's as important as the next. That's the beautiful thing about creating. He doesn't care about your bloodline or skin color or what you've done. It's in your heart, that frequency, the growing of your knowledge.
What you do, John?
Can't help myself. People ask questions and I just fly off on tangents. I just, sorry, everybody.
No, it's all part of the conversation.
I found it interesting. Someone just said something in the chat that I thought was interesting about keeping all the joints loose so the chi can move through the chakra. Tension in our bodies blocks the chi flow. And that's true. I know when I do my yoga breathing, if I am tense somewhere, I can't take that full 8-second breath. I'll stop at 5 or 7.
What helps me the most, since I discovered it in the bathtub, I was doing something magical. I was all wet. I was imitating the Hindu statues, and I started feeling warm in that little pressure. And I was like, oh my God, imagine, because the water amplifies my conductivity, I think, so I just have better results. And then understanding what you're feeling. In my head, I'd already deciphered, we have a magnet, and all of a sudden I'm feeling it.
Right.
It's just like that for me.
You're gonna be
feeling
like
stress.
guy that can hold a light bulb and turn it on.
It's so easy now. Because it's lined in my being. I know I'm a magnet, and if I'm feeling the stress, I just bring it, I feel it, and I spread them out. It's that easy for me to relax.
And you can take that deep breath.
I get full of fucking goosebumps, and you can do anything.
Right. You're right.
You must remain calm. I'm going through hell right now.
Why are you going through hell? What are you talking about?
Well, the love of my life, and it treat me like
I am the love of your life. What are you talking about?
you are. I'm good.
So
I'm
Paulie,
good.
can you tell me about some experiences that you have had while accessing the record or similar event?
Who are you talking to?
You.
Me? Well, I was telling you the other day about the first time I tapped into the Akashic, realized that I was tapping into the Akashic record, and how I was meditating, and I built a log cabin from cutting the trees down, sizing them, I built the log cabin from the ground up in my mind, right? And I'd never had any what I didn't tell you was that I was 11. I was a child, and I suddenly had knowledge of how to build a freaking log cabin from the ground up. And that, of course, intrigued me. So then I'm going to go and check it out and see, how do you build a log cabin? And everything that I read on it, I already knew. How did I already know that?
Yeah, it's like
That was the first time for me. I was so shocked by the fact that I just thought about this thing, and all of a sudden I knew everything that needed to be known about it. It's shocking.
Because sometime there was a lumberjack who built his own cabin, thinking while he was building it, some little girl really benefit from this information. And you connected with that.
Right.
Exactly. Like, she's going to need this information.
Right, and I don't need that. I mean, what do I need that for?
One day you might. But you thought about it. You thought about it. You opened it up.
Right, and I was a little kid. And the fact that I could conceive the whole process, I thought, I'm a fucking genius, I am so dang smart. I don't need to be taught how to do this. I already know how.
But maybe it was proving it to yourself that something you wouldn't recognize that you would know. And
right.
You were proving it to yourself to give yourself the notion you already knew.
Right. It was like that. It was, and I don't know how. It didn't make sense to me then. I was a little kid, but I knew then that I could tap into it through that meditation.
See, and that's why you've been
from my mom,
That's why you've been used since then.
So do you think it was like you in a past life, or just accessing the record?
I ask myself that all the time, because I'm like, have I lived past lives? Are past lives really a thing? And I question it a lot, because I have this cat that I swear used to be my dog. Swear.
I think there's a distinction.
Crazy, I know, but there are things that I know that I cannot possibly know. There are situations, and I mean, like, relationship-wise, let's throw that out there, where the philosophy of it just comes to me. I've never experienced this before, but then, is that hyper-intelligence? You tell me. It's just knowing.
It's not hyper intelligence. Think of it this way: the universe is consciousness without a. Hold on. The universe is awareness without consciousness. So it can't think for itself, but it knows everything.
Everything. Right, and I agree with that.
We are consciousness without awareness, which gave us amnesia.
Okay.
So
we know everything. We just forgot we knew everything.
Right. And that could be maybe like the brain, the brain levels, the alpha, beta, theta.
Right.
I always wondered just why don't we remember our childhood, say before 8 years old, and I understood that it was just because our brain wasn't operating at the same level as we are as adults, so therefore we don't access that information.
I have really deep childhood memories that I remember from 6 months old.
I know.
Well, we've been told our brains hold everything.
And my mom's like, how do you remember that stuff so well? Like, I don't know.
When my son was 4 years old, he told me that I was not the only mother he had.
That's peaky.
I'm like, dude,
We've got more brains.
You're not my only mom. You darn right I am.
Yeah, I am your only mom. You both born once, and that was through me. And he's like, no, I have another mom. She kind of looks like you, though.
Oh, well, that's cool.
And I'm like, okay, so I don't know if this is reincarnation or if it's Akashic record. I can't tell you that for sure. I don't know that I've lived another lifetime, but I know when I sat down and I asked, who am I?
In my
Why
head,
am I here?
I have made the distinction for myself that if I've seen myself die, then that could be a possible previous life. If I haven't died, then I might be just connecting to another person's memory.
Right.
But the reason why I made that distinction for myself was because if you die, is that your last thought?
I feel like I have been in every situation imaginable.
I don't know. When I've
obviously
about dying, I've considered that possibly a past life.
Well, I know that we play out these little scenarios in our head.
I have no idea.
Like reading a book, you see the images in your head from the pages, from the words on that you're reading. So
yeah, the book is alive. The page is
like the book is alive. I wonder, is this just thoughts in my head? Is this, am I reliving a past memory? Or am I remembering something that I read? Or am I tapping into someone else's lifetime and gaining their knowledge somehow? It was very confusing for me until I started to use it actively.
I agree. I don't think there is a clear distinction between what's a past life because you're technically everybody.
Right.
So to make the distinction, like deep down in every cell, you have every cell down to the original. But is it a past life? It could be. Is it a memory? It could be. Is it subjective truth? It could be.
Memory, I don't know if I agree with the statement there.
Yeah.
Memory says nothing's been done that the creator hasn't already done. I kind of agree with that, but I kind of don't. Because if you are a being that is capable of doing anything, then you are capable of doing anything continuously. You don't just create one life and say, okay, look what I did. I created life. You're going to continuously creating life. So God's ability to create is as infinite as God is himself.
Yeah, and the creation continues. That's where we step in as prodigal children. That's our partners, and why we are literally co-creators. It's bigger than our thoughts form the reality. Because if that was true, I mean, everybody would be getting along by now.
I have only gotten.
If that was true, I would live in a house made of marijuana.
I have only gotten smarter because people have been adding to the magnet.
But the fact that you grow from your experiences and you actually make it to the creator with that, a little bit more of that spark that he gave you, you can feel the induction of in your palms, that warming. That's a literal energy that you get off of your soul. As you grow that, you go back to creator and he'll take a little bit of that for the rest of creation. As you come into a certain knowing, you have the ability to choose different lives. Even to be a sun only lasts billions of years.
Right.
How to be a quasar? Yeah, I don't know. Who am I to put a limitation on creation? So that's very me to do so.
Right. So,
right.
But the ego itself is what the limiting factor is.
Yes, you have to kick it out, and that is where me becomes important. And you can't fake it. You can't just try it. You have to understand. And a lot of people view meek as weak, and I got to tell you, meek is very strong, as you know. And there's nothing going to shake a knowing, and people will take that as being, I approach people wrong.
There are many forms of wisdom, sir.
Yes, wisdom. And well, what I'm saying is, if somebody comes at you and starts talking about how the sky is created, look up, see, it's fucking desert.
I hate flat earthers.
At a certain point, you have a connection in your heart with that actual knowledge, and it opens the door to, wow, I don't need to leave.
Oh, I know.
I've got the actual connection to creation. I know what's good and bad, and I'm going to go to a tree, feel the weight, shed some love and some water.
So Daniel,
and that just becomes who and what you do.
So Daniel, do you have any experiences that stand out to you that in your practice of what we're talking about? Like
accessing the
meditation?
I do, but I'd rather, like, I don't really like to talk about things because people already think I'm pretty crazy.
Everyone thinks we're all crazy, but that's just because we don't think the same as everyone else. So
we know you're crazy.
Okay, so
just like you, Daniel.
I'll tell you, when I started, and this is before I even met Eric, and I didn't understand this connection and asking for what I wanted to know, who I wanted to talk to, and like, not everybody's gift is the same because obviously our minds all work differently. But when I asked to talk to somebody, for example, Saint Germain, he wanted to tell me basically theurgy and like how to transmute shit. And it's like, but that's not why I wanted to talk to you. Because like I can imagine whoever's been there to talk to him as an energetic entity, they're always like, I want to know transmutation and fucking, and I'm like, but I have other questions. Mm-hmm. I got philosophical shit I want to ask. And like, it's all subjective dreamland, but it's, I don't know, then I go read some shit or some lecture of Saint Germain. I'm like, okay, so that's what he fucking meant.
Right.
What is transmutation?
The changing of material into whatever, or changing of energy into material or whatever.
Manifest destiny.
But like, I don't know. And like, who knows? That's why I say I don't think anyone actually dies.
You know,
no, they don't. They go on as people on the energetic side. But it's the electromagnetic inseparable. Well, that's because we're programmed to think we're weak and one-time shot. We're an electromagnetic being, and that is why we have that magnet. That magnet has gripped a hold of our body. When we let go of it, that magnet doesn't dissipate and go away. It is on the electro side of the electromagnetic field.
I also think that when you invoke these kinds of things, when you have an agenda, the question's obvious.
Well,
I want immortality. It's like, but I don't want to live forever. I don't deserve
what
that.
Got to me. This is how I knew that this was a real deal, was when I asked a question and got an answer I didn't like. And I'm like, no, I dismissed that. That's not the answer I want. But damned if it wasn't the correct answer.
But when you researched it after time, you're like, oh boy, that was right.
Yeah.
Because that's the ego.
And you ask your little question. Research. You ask your little question and you get that immediate response and you're like, nope. Try to reject it and see if you can't. It's like looking at yourself in the mirror.
Now hold that.
I'm a good person. I am so nice. But you know deep down inside who you are. And it's the same way with tapping into that Akashic record. You are going to get the truth whether you like it or not.
And here's the difference in that. A past life memory won't be like that.
Right.
But you'll have it as a memory.
You'll be like, I don't know if that's, real.
Well, I can say that seeing death or seen what I perceived as my own death a few times. And I wouldn't say this life, but what I perceived as my own death. I wasn't traumatized, but I was.
Right.
Like, it's a different type of trauma. Like, you're witnessing your end, but you're still here. And you're like, huh, why? Why? Why am I still here if I died?
Well, it's to
And
me,
that-
it's like a reincarnation, or
Kind of.
like you see in
Graduation.
movies where your DNA revolves in cycles. So that's how you come to a
Repattering.
physical body somewhere,
Well,
and then
here's-
afterwards you're
yeah.
roaming
Because-
on the
Electricity, energy cannot be
ether.
created nor destroyed.
Yeah.
Energy is cyclic. Energy remains no matter what. It might change form, but it's still going to be energy. And I think if water can hold memory, then maybe that energy holds memory too.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, absolutely, we see that with
Well,
people
that's
that
why you see
have like
ghosts.
heart transplants, and they get the memories of the person from the heart they think that they got the heart from.
Mhm.
Whoa, it's
Um,
like I hate to bring up references of like pop culture, but video games. Kingdom Hearts, at the last boss, the dude's trying to break the Earth's heart crystal, which contains all the memories of every heart.
Right.
And it's the same story.
Right, and I think a lot of game designers they made no information and they put them in the games, and
And they may not even be aware
yeah,
that they're doing it.
because that kind of falls in with the most people don't remember their childhood memories before a certain age, and it's kind of like the same way as we all forget that information, but we have the choice to access that information now, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, see,
Not
that's the
everyone
whole
may want it,
problem.
but they're learning.
Like-
They have the choice to learn that old information, for better lack of term,
Well,
that's available
the-
on the record.
Your biology screams you've got a bigger brain in your body. Your brain is not what they tell you it is. It's to analyze your surroundings and hold memories in your heart with your emotions. And they've proved that's why you get those memories and emotions when you
processor.
have that heart transplant.
A
And
re-
because they looked into it, and that actual sac of nerves is neurons.
a- a- a
And
Right.
they hold it.
a-
Now, the thing is, and then why the memory dumped is because you're biologically created to analyze
What's around
everything.
you.
Everything. The accretion record, all this information. You have access to it. But your brain has no way to hold that much information.
Mhm.
It wasn't built to do
It's
that.
limited, yeah.
So it holds it in the ether.
Yes. You have access to it.
So
Right.
what about people that say when they get old, they say, I don't have room for any more memories. They don't remember what they did that day, but they can remember what they did at 20.
Maybe
Well-
they've stopped processing because they keep telling themselves that.
That could be any number of medical conditions.
If you tell yourself something long enough, wouldn't you start to believe it? Body, like the habit of telling yourself, oh, I can't remember anything. Oh, I can't remember anything. Oh, and then, well, what does your body do? It stops from trying to remember.
When my twins, who are now 32 years old, when they were in elementary
Repetition is
school,
deadly.
I made them memorize
And
my
it
parents'
builds too.
Look, I made them memorize my parents' phone number. And because, I wanted them to know our phone number, our home address, but if something were to happen and they couldn't get a hold of mom, they had to memorize their grandparents' phone number. And my kids at 30 years old remember that phone number.
I remember my old phone number from 8 years old.
They couldn't have been but like 5 and 6 years old when my parents had that phone number. We're talking kindergarten, first grade. And to this day, they still remember. They can't remember their social security number or their own
Yeah.
phone number, but they remember their grandparents' phone number.
Mm-hmm. I kind of remember my childhood number.
The end game is pretty evident, self-evident. I've given all that information and always speak first.
I think it's
Um,
because I, drilled into their heads how very important it was for them to remember that number. It was crucial that you remember this. So the more important it is to you, the longer you will retain that memory.
Yeah, it goes into your hard drive. Your hard drive can only hold so much, which we really don't use a whole lot of. But the rest of that gray matter and shit is for accessing the big one. And we've been cut off.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm behind everybody, but I'm getting there.
You're not. You're not, John.
Yeah.
I think you're going at the pace you're supposed to be going at.
Everybody, that's all you guys got. We all got each other and our own paces, and we help lift each other up when we need the help. And, it goes around in circles. That's how magnets work.
We've all been subjected to some horrible programming.
We all lift each other up,
And yeah, we need some cooperation, which it hasn't been flowing. It's playing it for a while.
Right back up, use the bathroom.
They really do not like us when we start cooperating with each other. Anything, everything is built like individual pains and sufferings to set in these triggers.
Are you
And that
asking
makes
me?
it even harder for other people to get along with them, and it causes other turmoils. It just compounds.
You're asking me about the twins? Pat? Was that Pat that asked that? I don't even see it now. The chat's moving.
Yes, Polly, she says.
Okay, so my twins, strange case. Identical twins, fraternal twins, and paternal twins is what they call them. Fraternal twins are not identical. Paternal twins are identical. My kids are considered paternal twins, even though they look nothing alike and they're male-female. But they're considered paternal twins because they were born in the same sac. There wasn't two individual sacs. So even if they, even if your twins are identical and look exactly alike, if they're in two different sacs when they're born, they're not paternal twins. They are paternal. Don't ask me why.
Yeah, because it's two separate eggs rather than.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Rather than a divided.
Yeah. Separate sperm in the same egg. Something like that.
Right. When they're in one sac, that's one egg divided in two different, human beings. But when they're fraternal, it's two eggs divided. Right?
I always thought one of them was two sperm and one egg, and the other is two eggs, one sperm.
Yeah, paternal is two eggs, or paternal is one egg, two sperms, and paternal is two eggs, two sperms. Something like that.
And that's identical twins, and non-identical. The difference between that's between identical twins and non-identical when you have paternal and non-paternal?
No, because twins can be identical whether they're in the same sac or two different sacs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They can still look exactly alike. They can have the absolute same DNA and look totally different and still be considered identical twins or paternal twins because they were born in the same sac. She says one egg split's identical. Identical twins is more of an anomaly than we know. For everything to go right genetically, for them to look exactly alike, that's a lot of work there. But my twins are nothing alike. Nothing. They did have that secret twin language when they were little. That was interesting.
It's our old language.
Right, right. You're absolutely right. They'd finish each other's sentences. When Laura got her shots, Philip would cry. When Philip got his shots, Laura would cry.
We unlearned that.
They videotaped my kids getting their 4-month shots because of that anomaly, because one cried when the other got a shot.
Did they separate them into separate rooms?
No, they had them in the same room.
Yeah, see, I'd be
Gave
interested.
one a shot, and that one would be crying, the other one would be crying.
Well, sure, if one cried, the other cried, but that's what I'm saying.
No,
like separate
no,
rooms. Like,
I'm holding one while it gets its shot, and the other baby starts crying.
yeah.
I put that baby down, pick up the crying baby while the other one gets their shots. You know.
Oh. So the one getting the shot didn't cry.
The one getting the shot didn't cry.
Okay.
The other one did. It was like they felt each other's pain. You know, it was weird. Weird enough for them to want to videotape it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're just like with the instantaneous action at a distance, they say any atom that was connected at one point in time,
right,
now separated, they react. You manipulate one, the other reacts, and that kind of ties in with the Big Bang Theory. Is if we came from a point of light, and then the explosion and the expansion of the universe, that's how it all works, because everything was connected at one time in a tiny point. So that's why it works.
It blew out
we remain connected.
Yep. Even though it spread apart.
And it blew out in how many magnetic little components, God knows. But yeah, everything's connected. Magnetic. It's not a mystery why.
Funny how it all goes back to that, isn't it? It's like big old circle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, as the Stones say, Creator is fixing to speak His word again, and renew everything, become brand new. That is where one sun sings one tone, and we have three. We're going to strike a chord, and there's evidently going to be a nova event.
Why does that make me smile? Why does that make me feel good?
Because it's going to bring everything back to original design. That's the purpose of this, and that's why they feared it so much.
How would I just randomly know that, John? How would I know that that's going to make me feel better?
What? Say it again.
I did what he was describing. It made me smile. It made me feel good. It made me feel like things were going to get back to right.
They are.
So how can
that's the mechanism that won't be stopped.
You're right. And they try and
I keep saying this is going to happen with or without me or you.
I think it's funny that the elites think that they can manipulate it.
Yeah.
And bless their little hearts, they're trying so hard. They really are.
But they've been misguided in the first place when they came over this. They've been in fear of this moment because of these fucking actors that Creator's been putting in their dreams for fucking centuries. They wrote it in stone. All over, every damn culture on the planet talks about us three talking.
Yeah.
So they built this whole world of fear about this, not understanding that it's actually their own liberation that they're looking at, and understanding on how to perpetuate their own home planet, which they're having problems
some
in the
level.
first place.
I get
now
they do. Level. They know. Everyone knows.
Well,
all know.
They've been afraid of this reset and trying to counter it in any way they can.
Yeah.
But we have just revealed to them they missed something. The very base of creation, 1748 first, without that. They never countered Creator. Creator been a playhouse. This ain't about their punishment. This is about their light. And they need to start taking this. But they're afraid of their egos and all that stuff we've already talked about. The knowledge is there, and it's in their hearts. Are they going to eat from the Last Supper that's fixing to be delivered by their own, by our hand, driven by their influence? If I was them, I wouldn't take that. But that's to each their own choice. And they will deal with that as great as Dean when that frequency is struck and that God's seed is made with that portal that will open because those three suns come open and everybody refers to as a black hole. Creator's foot comes down on this planet when he plans during his first creation. Those that don't know him are going to cry and smack them because everybody in their heart is broken up. And I've been trying to avoid that too. It's going to be a part of it. When the Creator comes down, start crying because I have to see the recognize his child. Don't be afraid of that. If you're afraid of daddy, don't. He's not going to recognize these things. Now, what does that mean? In your heart of your frequency is what he's going to recognize.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be that. Because when he comes back, he's going to wipe out that which isn't.
Yeah.
And that's that tone. That's your physics of how it's done. I've just explained that parable. In physics, the Creator's coming. He's going to speak again. But if you're not in the right frequency, you'll go back. And everything will go as it be. There's been 7 billion souls recycled here for centuries that have not been the product of children to creation. They've been driven up in energy according to conquering one another, which is not what Creator wants. But this is what the 33 need to perpetuate their own damn lives. And that shit's going to stop. And that's what they fear. And I'm telling you, with or without me, it's going to happen. I'd start paying attention.
So we know about the halls of Amente and the recycling machine. So could it be possible that maybe that's why I'm having difficulties? Is because I'm trapped?
Yes.
And I can't get on that. I can't get on the field.
We've been traumatized so much. Think about one life's triggering, one life of pain and suffering and abuse. How many triggers you got? You didn't get to go back to Creator last time. You suffered all that shit. You grew your energy in a horrible way, and it went back, sucked you almost dry because you can't kill a soul in the halls of men. And then you shoot back out into another life somebody creates because they've got this little electromagnetic barrier around our ass, recycling our asses. They figured out that much. Problem is, you didn't get back to have some Mai Tais with Creator. Creator didn't get to get some of your energy to give to the rest of creation. So they're robbing the rest of creation. But each time they recycle a soul in a horrible manner.
I don't think you're having trouble, John. I really don't think that you're having trouble. I think that you're on mute. Someone has pushed your mute button. Something has put you on hold.
Mama's got him
like I said, when the time comes, when you gain your knowledge, that's in game. That's
why, John, you're on a governing switch, brother.
You're on a governing switch.
I got one too. You know,
where is it so I can turn it off?
You know, everybody knows.
It's already evident to me that this is on Creator's timeline, not mine. I'm just getting back. Watch me. Relax. Whatever you need to do will be what you do.
It will come. I came to that conclusion about a year and a half ago. I was always so tense and so uptight, and I'm like, what are you doing? Just relax. Because but when it comes, you're gonna miss your chocolate milk, bitch.
Relax back.
I like my chocolate milk.
I'm gonna relax and enjoy my chocolate milk for now.
See, you got me excited. More Ovaltine.
Yeah. I've had my breakfast drink with Ovaltine.
Oh, no meat. That's what I do.
I think you're on hold, John.
Yeah, we've been recycled. This whole thing of us being here and understanding all the magnet and making sense out of all these mysteries that have been in humanity's way for so long. This ain't nothing but the way Creator lined it out centuries ago. So I had to accept the fact that, you know what, I ain't got shit to do with this. It's just the way Creator wanted me.
Who you asking that of, Daniel?
Everybody. I was just, you guys were in the middle of talking and I didn't want to interrupt. So I was being courteous and I was just enjoying the comment chat. It's what everyone's talking about, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. But you need to believe it's possible for there to even be a chance it's possible. And then I was saying another analogy is the archer. Does the archer think about releasing the bow or the string, or does he just relax, exhale, and without a second thought, there's no thought. It's just an action that he's carrying out at that moment, and the arrow doesn't miss its mark because he's not thinking about, do I shoot now? Do I? It's all instinctual feeling. Yeah. And then I expanded it by saying, are you the archer shooting the arrow, or are you the arrow being shot by the archer? And then, are you both?
Are you both? Great point. Yeah.
But it's looking at two things and then slapping them together. And it's like you're the thing being shot, but you're also doing the shooting.
With your intent.
Yeah. What's your true heart's desire? And that's what needs refining, because if there's any impurity, you're going to have an agenda behind it. If there's no agenda, you remain innocent because there's no agenda. You're doing it for the betterment of everything, everybody, everyone.
That's a very black and white existence.
It is, but we have emotional content that makes up for that black and white existence.
Yep. No, I'm agreeing with you absolutely.
Oh, I thought you were.
It's a lot better than turmoil and confusion.
I thought you were.
As a base, a building base.
Yeah.
For humanity, it's so much better knowing.
It should be.
Than being confused on, is the sky blue or green? I don't fucking know. I actually know why the sky is blue, because the oxygen molecule is blue. If we had more nitrogen, it would be green. But do you need that level of depth or of understanding? No, not really.
You shouldn't need that, no.
But yeah, it's like that. If you have that knowing, it's fucking comforting. So you know it, and you're not confused. You're not running around looking for an answer. Right. If we have that base for humanity to begin with, is that we're teaching our children how to be little gods. Why do you wait until they grow up?
You're playing back.
No.
I'm getting excited.
Breathe. I was telling you to breathe. Take a breath.
That magnet. John, memory why you feel you're stuck.
Eric's my engine's taking off.
John,
one of these days, Eric's gonna launch through his basement floor. He's gonna be like a rocket.
You're stuck because it's not time yet. If you feel,
I agree.
DK says the same thing. I feel like I'm stuck.
The more we
You're not stuck. It's not time yet.
The more
creators.
The more we learn and share. We're seeding the field, and cosmic omnipresence is gaining a consciousness and awareness, and we are gaining our awareness while having a consciousness that retains itself.
Which is a lethal combination.
We are the Trinity. We are ourself, the divine, and him.
Man, if we had to think to make our heart beat, I would be dead. I get so distracted. I forget to make my heart beat. I'd be like, I got stoned and forgot to tell my heart to beat.
That's kind of my thing, is I always get distracted during, try to focus back.
So here's a deep philosophical question for everybody. If one side is light and one side is matter, what's in the middle? We are?
When we're here in the physical,
Yeah.
you have access to both.
Well, no, but you see what I'm saying? If on one side you have light, and then on one side you have matter, and then we're the mix of two, we are the three.
We are.
And this is what I say is like basic. When you say we're a triple helix, it's like it's how did everybody miss this? How did everybody miss the fact that we have silica as bones?
They actively work to lie to you.
Calcium carbonate is silica.
Generations. Generations.
And carbon.
How did everybody miss?
But light is energy.
The sky is purple. What are you talking about? Red Cloud says, I think people would act differently if the sky was purple. My sky is purple every morning and every afternoon.
We are fucktards. How did the scientists miss this? And how is it so blatantly obvious that everybody else like, okay, yeah.
They didn't miss it. They were paid to misdirect you.
Well, I think Graham Hancock like to give stand in front of each other, the king with the boats.
I think people inherently want to be good. Unfortunately, they have given themselves to a system that doesn't give a fuck about them. And they want to play the system that doesn't want to give a fuck. And
for their own good.
It's not for no one's good.
Well,
not even their
mind. They're convinced in their mind, or they wouldn't have sold out.
Well, I'd rather have integrity and die in my feet than, you know.
I was offered a ticket to a bunker, and I
take it and
for my son and myself. I even spoke to my son on that.
Sunday has given us the coordinates again for the halls of Amenti and saying that the seal has to open. We know that.
Yeah.
We know that the halls of Amenti must be opened.
Eyes on home. We know.
I actually want to raise an island.
Not time yet.
I want to see Sunday wants to go to that. I'm like, okay, well, I want to raise an island. Do you know which island I want to raise? And it's not a sunken island. I want to raise Atlantis. And we're gonna call it Volcanus.
Volcanus.
Yeah, for Vulcan, for like, you know, Spock, logic, and like reason and love, and you know.
Well, see, that's part
B. Anus for, you know, Uranus.
That's plan B.
Well,
plan A is still in effect.
I know.
I'm joking. I'm hoping that these cats get the message and go home and heal everything they've messed up. Plan B, the Rainbow Warrior tribe.
I was making a Spock joke, Eric. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, you know, you're very true in your Spock joke, though. Because if they don't, at some point, we will be called to make volcanoes.
Well, I know.
And those
we're going to call it volcanoes, too.
Well,
damn straight. You're on
basically a steam engine, a giant steam engine over, you know, perpetual heat.
Guess what happens if we fail? The mama becomes love dust. Those engines are going to die, with or without us. Seriously. To the core. She goes home too. She gets a few Mai Tais. She spends her hell anyways.
Why no?
Honestly, she doesn't want to. Nobody wants that. She is an angel.
Has returned.
So I am assured that Mama has her shields, y'all. But those machines, I'll tell you what, I'll take it to my last breath, they're going to be dismantled. Everybody gets to go home now. There is no other race that has the right to sit over the souls of men and judge us. Only the one that created your soul has that right. That would be great. Not some one justifying.
This might be done for a lot of other people. There's a reason why I say I would never make it to that location, and it's because I agreed to keep coming back. Because, you know, I'm a boatman. It's what I do.
Yeah, some of us are bridges to take souls home.
I said that when we first met.
There's a lot of lost people because of all this recycling and trying to escape the same end.
Yvonne Mari says, I prefer Star Wars metaphors myself, but different people, different tastes.
Yep.
By that, do you mean that different people taste differently, or that they have different tastes?
Learning styles.
Yvonne Mari,
Semantics.
a lot of the Star Wars metaphors originate from Buddhist philosophy, and the idea behind a lot of spirituality, we'll just call it that. A lot of theory behind the theology is to retain the consciousness after death. That's what all the ancients were after, is to retain some form of themselves after passing, to have a God existence.
Yeah, when they come back to have that.
And the metaphor you can relate to Star Wars is a Force ghost. Qui-Gon Jinn was the original dude that brought back information from the Wisps to retain his consciousness. He gave it to Yoda. Yoda taught everybody else while he was still alive.
So Yoda.
Yeah, Yoda, the Green Man. The Green Man. Yeah, that guy. That guy.
You know, I saw this meme the other day, and it said, "Why did the Star Wars movies come out 6, 5, 4, 3? You know, they came out all different, all messed up. It was like 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, or something like that. I don't remember how it goes. But someone said because Yoda was in charge of scheduling.
Or Jar Jar. I was mind blown when somebody is like, go watch the Jar Jar Binks theory about how he could be a Darth dude. And I'm like, what? Jar Jar?
Yeah, he is a Darth dude.
But he's like, no, really, just go watch the theory. And I'm like, you're right. He is the perfect chaos guy. Like everywhere he goes, there's just chaos behind him.
Yeah, and he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Nobody even suspects him. They think he's just some bumbling fool. You know, he's a good-hearted guy, just making mistakes.
But mastermind.
His mistakes are intentional.
He's a mastermind.
Yeah.
You'll think I'm an idiot, but I'm the guy behind it all. Like, look, he was even the dude in charge of the Senate in the Clone Wars.
And you're right, Pat. All of them, all of those movies, all of our iconic movies and books, they're telling us the truth. They're not lying to you. They're just saying it in a way that you don't know what you're looking at.
Okay. So 1748 hertz on that green screen at the very end.
Yeah, you feel it, but
Yvonne
you
Mari
just don't see it for what it is.
Okay, so Lord of the Rings, you want to talk about weird stuff? Tom Bombadil, what could he consist of?
What is Tom Bombadil?
Oh, well, you know, he's the celestial song.
There's whole books written on what he could be.
I think he is the celestial song that entices, like he's the everything of everything. That's why the ring doesn't affect him. It's a part of him. But it's like a part of him that wasn't refined. So like, you know, the Dark Lord didn't purify it properly. Or impurified it.
Purified.
Like, who knows? We don't have backstory.
There's a Soviet version of the Lord of the Rings.
What? I didn't know there was a Soviet
version. Pat Post says there. Look at the Soviet version of the Lord of the Rings.
I'm gonna have to check that out, Pat.
I was watching Blade a couple months back. I hadn't seen it in a long time, but one of these studios or producing companies or something like that was called Amen Ra.
Yeah.
And the very first scene is they're reading cuneiform.
And our new satellites are going to be in Little and Enrique.
Yeah.
Well, we've already got the all-seeing eye of Enlil. John's sights that thing every time he gets on the damn thing. He's all-seeing, man.
Yeah.
We read about that in the cuneiform too, right? I mean, NASA knows, for fuck's sake. They knew the name of the face on Mars before they ever disputed it.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
And his position.
We know the name of we know him. Now, he's the first king of Nibiru that was buried off the planet.
Hi.
Nibiru being planet heaven. And they named it planet heaven. That's the whole distraction of Section. They want to keep heaven from Well,
Oh no, but we're bringing it here.
here it comes.
Even going to Mars is a distraction because technically we will never survive on Mars without taking the Schumann resonance with us.
Yeah, straight.
But it's not like that's public information. They don't say, "Oh well,
No, they
yeah,
don't.
let's go to Mars. Let's go to Mars. Let's move there." Blah 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 blah. But yeah, you could have
There's
water
one
and
way you
food and
could move to
oxygen and
Mars.
everything, and you still wouldn't never
Well,
make it
there's actually two ways you could move to Mars. One being the way the Anunnaki moved here and judge over our souls, suck the energy out of them to prolong our life there. Or two, you get in the love circle, overlay your hull back, and become the Merkaba and interstellar travel there and arrive in a mist and form in that energy. Therefore, you are now a Martian. That's how these Indians, the natives, got here. And it totally makes sense. They could have come from any size planet with as low of frequency or as large of frequency as they, but in their pure intent of travel to here to expand creation and help in a soup sandwich situation, as I understand some of them claim to have come here. Through that love circle, and that basically it's a black hole with the pure intent. You go walk right into it and form here as a mist. The only real difference in their legends was the different colors of mists. One of them was green, one was white, kind of thing. But that's the same mechanism brought them here. So if you travel through creation with an actual, you can interstellar travel and expand. But if you try to do it like they did in a mechanical way, you're going to suffer the repercussions of that freaking Schumann frequency being different. It's going to be spiking or low to you and not any use. Look at what happened to everybody that went to Planet Heaven. As a recourse, they would ask, how's John Blow? You took him up to Planet, what an honor. Oh, yeah, John,
he got sick.
He got sick. He went crazy and died.
Yeah.
And then the next guy, the same symptoms, the same resolve. Mm-hmm. Nobody lives on Planet Heaven who comes here or from here by a mechanical reason. For that you cited, the human frequency fucking kills it.
And that story is tied it together for me. It's like, well, the Schumann resonance. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did they miss that?
Because they're not tied to their planet.
They acted awful confused as to how that, and why are they having such a short life over here? See, they acted confused throughout all these stories. Why are we getting older here? Why is our children, why do I look like a grandfather over here? Why came here a few years ago, like Inky says, now I'm an old man with a beard. My children are older and this and that, and they're having timeline problems. And they attribute it to the long orbit of Nibiru. Well, Planet Heaven orbits its own damn sun. It's not regulated by the long orbit. That's the long count if the sun's coming back in. It has nothing to do with their lifespan here being shorter. They're out of their Schumann frequency. Mm-hmm. How did they miss that?
But I always wonder how they're able to survive longer than us here.
33.
Different anatomy.
The halls of Amenti.
Constant regeneration.
But they didn't have the halls of Amenti out first.
Well, that's why they built them.
Right.
Maybe it's the sun. Maybe it's the sun. Maybe it's the electromagnetic energy from the sun, the blue sun.
But they travel with Horus.
I mean,
Horus and Ra travel together. That's why, but as far as suns go, look at it. There's huge distances. One of them could be here, mingling with Set, and the other one way out on their distant parts of their orbits. And that appears in Giza and Peru as to what has happened. And they will perihelia with each other well away from our sun in turn all the time, because they travel together and they're kind of locked together. But they will have less of an orbit than they do around our sun.
And that's all documented, like which one came back because he's standing there with the staff.
Because they came in together. They traveled together because they came in together.
Well, they did this time. But they never have on the walls of Peru. Well, that's what I'm getting at. On Peru and the walls of Giza, we see the king with the staff and the boats with the people. Well, the people in the boats are the planets that he brought back with his celestial body. That's the sun we're talking about. And they're registering the returns. They haven't all been back.
Well, I thought that one came in, like the red came in first and then the blue, and then other times the blue came in first and then the red.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they came in at the same time.
Right. Right.
So,
and that's what you can see correlating.
We would know this and we would be able to, you know.
That's why this time is so important, because all three are here. And it's that actual chord that is going to be struck here.
Right.
Will set us to reset. So that in itself, that it hasn't been, it is pretty evident that it hasn't been done for a very long time. Actually, and that's what they've been fearing.
Yeah, that ring, the sound that can't be struck.
Yes. Can't be faked. It's a living biological tone of at least 9 human, or not human anymore, their sons combined, because you have more than one, so you combine to make one son. So you have 3 come together singing one, 1, 2, 3 tones, and we know what that makes. It's a chord. A chord strikes in a frequency. Yeah, a chord that is in a frequency-based creation is going to go, bam, everything gets set back to that chord. And that's physical objects and everything that doesn't belong. It's vibrating in the wrong frequency. Boop, it's gone. So, yeah, bye. Now, if Mother Earth has her shields up, for God's sake, everybody would be good. And everybody in that frequency will be here. If she doesn't have those shields up, she gets taken out in the fire.
Everything gets
But that frequency will permeate everything regardless of the shield.
Everything.
Yes.
Yes.
That is what they fear, because they try and put up shields and they realize now they can't shield themselves from that frequency.
They don't understand object permanence.
They can shield themselves from the fire and all that shit, but they can't fucking do anything about that frequency. And that's the wall they're up against.
The B note.
Yeah.
Come on, can you kiss me later?
I hate to make a South Park reference, but it's the shit note.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Now, it's something I was theorizing why a lot of the stories they talk about only a binary system. And that's to me because of the blue sun's spectrum is outside our visible except for a tiny amount, so it's never really seen in the stories where we see the red sun all the time in the stories because it's within the visible spectrum. So the stories that are written only seeing the red sun and
we see both of them in stories. So John, like Herboculus, Vulcan, they have different names for Horus, the red sun, the destroyer for good. They do have different names for Ra. Yeah. He is the great powerful. He is the Lord. He is the Lord of the.
I thought you were going to say the Wizard of Oz.
He is the Dark Star. He is the blue Kachina. He is Ra. Yeah. And he's all blue there too. I mean, they hue his fucking blue.
But I just think, like they said, they come back at different times. In one, Ra may not be in this return. It's just Horus, or the timeline that the stories were written. It was only.
And that leads back to Daniel in the medical. How in the hell did Graham Hancock and fucking what's his name, that fucking other guy everybody throw at me, miss those boats and he's in Peru? I took one look, 5 minutes. I was like, oh my god, it blew my mind. I'm not Graham Hancock. I'm not Brian Forrester.
I've seen
these guys have been there.
Well, that's what I mean. How did they miss it? They obviously didn't miss it.
Thank you.
Right.
They didn't, and they refused to talk about why Ra was never a god.
Right.
Because I've given it to them. more than I've talked to 333, because I was convinced that 333, he's CIA, he's fucking cover for all this shit. He always leaves it a mystery. He'll even mention, oh, someone sending a beautiful picture of the moon. Here, let's talk about this. Well, I was convinced Brian Forrester and Graham Hancock were really on the edge of trying to convince you that these things ain't what you, and they're not. Just as much as 333 is. And that started making me realize that anything and everything that you see on Facebook, on fucking YouTube, on whatever, if it's being put in front of your fucking face and something you gotta look at, that's them, man. That's them doing their programming. That's them making you feel great about interacting with sharing the truth, because they're showing you confusion and you're sharing it with your friends on mass media, interactive mass media. They call it Facebook. And you share lies all day, all fucking day, and it burns me. I'm like, oh my God. So I had to stop looking. I just go over there and talk to the Pope, yell at them. But people are so convinced that they're doing the right thing by avoiding mass media sharing all their lives. And it's like, wow, everybody loves the wolf moon. Let's show a picture of the wolf moon, but forget to mention that it's doing a goddamn cartwheel.
Yeah.
Anybody notice this morning about, I guess 7, 8 o'clock my time, the rabbit ears were basically, they were straight down.
Straight down. Yes, ma'am. And after the full moon is the best time to view it, because for the few days after the full moon, it'll come up this whole week before midnight. You know, this whole week, and then the next week it's going to rise before midnight, later and later every day. Yep. But I'm just saying, it's like at 8:30 last night. It's going to be about 9 tonight. It'll come up on the horizon. The bunny ears will be on the top, and then you go to bed. You get up ready for fucking work or church in the morning. The moon's still there in the west, and the goddamn bunny ears are on the bottom. Now, how much effort did I actually spend in my life to see that? Now, you telling me, motherfuckers, that I told several times it's doing, and then they come out with videos talking about, it ain't doing shit, it ain't moving. Are you kidding me? Have you watched it? Because that's why I don't have videos or pictures of the moon doing that, because I require you to look at it.
I think they're confused. You know, when you're looking at the half moon in the sky, you're thinking, okay, that half moon should rise and set just like that. Just like that. All the way, right? It used to do that. Now it flips sides.
Yes. It used to rise wax and set wax. And we set the calendar itself to that.
Yeah.
Process every 30 days.
Yeah.
Wax and wane. And wax actually has a fucking definition of right side lit until it's fully lit. And then it goes wane as it's going down to the left side lit. It doesn't say I'm a waxing moon. At a certain point, it'll rise like a fucking frown and then roll to the right side lit. You know, and then set with a fucking grin. You can find field rotation. You can find navigation web pages that will tell you of the tilts as far as the vibration and stuff goes, 7.7 degrees. That's not 180. You can see at the equator that Orion rises like this, almost standing up already. Then he'll tilt down and then go under the planet. It's a 30 degree, 25 degree tilt because of our tilt, according to the ecliptic, that causes that. And that's understood. Nothing is doing 180 degrees, even the field rotation shit.
That bright star in the eastern sky that's rising in the mornings and it's multicolored and huge and everybody's getting pictures of it and they're saying it's Jupiter. I will come over there and give you a blowjob and clean your house in a tutu if that's motherfucking Jupiter. There's no way. I mean,
1 second.
But suddenly we're seeing Jupiter huge.
Hold your breath. Let me help you here real quick and avoid some embarrassing blowjobs.
Well,
I asked you all the 1,000.
Number one, it's not just us that's being compressed. The rest of the planets are having
Right.
now. We're
But
being brought in our
but
orbits,
just
one,
us.
because of the magnetism itself. Two, the illumination of each reflected planet is now starting to show all three lights. It might be a little
So are
bright.
you telling me that that's really Jupiter and now I have to come clean your house in the tutu?
No.
Well, I looked in the star program and it showed the other morning because I was seeing that same star.
Yeah.
It appears to be a star, and it was showing several of the planets over there. It was showing
got moons
Mars,
around you.
Venus, and Jupiter over there in the star program.
There's no way that Jupiter is that big on our horizon in the morning. No way.
I
I'm
can
not
see it
saying
being
it
Venus.
is at all. I'm just saying
If it is, Jupiter has moved
it's
up.
going to be more illuminated. But I don't know, Polly. I'm seeing an awful lot of weird shit with what they are called planets. And I'm like, is that actually an incoming?
Is that one of our planets or is it a new planet? Yeah, I'd like to know that.
There's a lot of questions
If they were
like
just
that in my head, too.
lying, open up the observatories, then we'd know. You know, what's the problem with that? How come we just know?
Can I help you with the problem with it? They don't want you to
You
know.
made a video.
They worked really, really, really hard on you not knowing, actually. So they probably aren't going to just share it.
Yeah.
And if they do, I'd be fucking extremely happy.
I have seen
Starting
Jupiter.
to light up their planes. Go.
I have seen Jupiter through a telescope, and it looks very much like that light we're seeing. I'm talking about that light that changes colors.
Yes,
You see multiple
it
colors.
does. It
You
does. I've
can
seen
see
it.
the moons pass in front of it. It blocks out the light from it in certain spots. There's more than one. I'm counting 3 to 5. And I've seen Jupiter through a telescope look like that with similar light, different colors. And you can see the moons passing in front of it. It does look very similar, but it's something I saw through a telescope, huge telescope at an observatory, not something I saw with the naked eye on the eastern horizon. When did I see Jupiter? Probably 10 years ago.
Well, think about it. Okay, that's good, but now we got two suns in very close proximity, so you got to multiply that by 3. You got to multiply the visual of it by 3. Number one, why is your moon visible in the day? Same reason you can see Jupiter better.
Well, I don't think my moon looks like it's closer, but Jupiter, if that's Jupiter, looks like it's much closer.
It is shining bright. I can't say it's closer.
Man,
a brighter light. It's gonna look closer.
brightly, I have never been able to distinguish the moons blocking the light from it.
Okay, well maybe
With the naked
you
eye.
with, oh, okay. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's probably not Jupiter. I don't know. Probably. I don't know. I'm sitting there looking at the same stuff. I'm wondering myself at night. I'm like, is this because of extra illumination? Is this extra planets that they're adding on to the thing and labeling us as stars? Because I've seen the same map Carrie has. Her and I've sat on the mesa and watched sunset. I've targeted them with her and tracked the sky. And it's confusing to look at because I was trained.
Right.
You know,
I'd like to know what I'm looking at. I would very much like to
I've
know.
never seen anything so bright in my life.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to guess at what it is.
I at
Polaris
first
is
thought it was an
definitely
airplane.
not the brightest thing in the sky anymore. You know, it's definitely not the brightest star in the sky. It's fucking dumb as far as the surrounding shit goes. I'll tell you that. It's like, wow, what's that? It's got to be a planet, but what one? Because I've never seen that looking like that. And I'm looking at Venus. Look at how bright Venus is. Like every morning. And here's the creepy part that a lot of people don't really calculate. Every night. It rises before the sun. It's that bright star in the east. And everybody looks at it. It's the morning star. It hasn't changed. It's bright as fuck. But all of a sudden, it's the brightest thing at night, too. As the sun goes down, it's following the sun down.
How in the fuck is Venus rising before the sun,
Right?
setting after the sun? Well, the day sky's rolling too, obviously. I mean, John proved that. The fucking sunspots are going. Of course, Venus is going to rise before the sun and then set after the sun.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts.
It can't be
But you look-
what you're looking at of the model. Jupiter's behind the sun and Earth, and we're on the other side. Saturn's,
Yeah,
you know, right there. Pluto's in the far distance.
right now.
Looking at the angle from a further out, what you could be looking at is Haumea and Make, which are comets.
That a comet with moon circling it.
And
But you know, like, that's what I mean. Who knows?
I
it
heard
might
you
be so
saying-
bright, Holly, that you're actually seeing the difference between the light when the moon's moving in front of it. It really might be that because it's being illuminated from the other side of the sun, full on. And we know we have 3 suns in the system, so it's being illuminated by 3, full on. So
We have Eris, we have Haumea, and Make on the outer edges of our solar system right now, and they're all comets or asteroids or whatever the hell they are, meteors.
yeah, there's an awful lot of activity as far as that goes.
You let Justice out.
Think about it. We've got whole solar systems rolling in planets and planets.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
space stuff with it. That's why our sky is going to look like fire eventually, because we're going to go through these very close proximity
And he was
clouds of dust that planets literally exhaust. You know, we look like a comet rolling through space in reality, and they hide that fact that planets exhaust dust. We're going to be in close proximity with these clouds, and we're seeing increased meteors everywhere.
Gentlemen, I have reached my maximum time limit. I'm going to have to partake in some smoking and eating of pizza.
Awesome, Holly.
I love you all so much.
Be safe.
Y'all keep your magnet strong.
Too.
I'll be here backing you up.
Always good to see you.
Love you guys.
Bye, Polly.
Listen
Bye,
to
John.
you.
Stay strong, Samwise.
You bet.
I will.
You too.
Yeah, as soon as mine gets here, I gotta go too. I thought she'd be home sooner.
When could be?
I'm glad she isn't. I always like seeing your smiling face.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should just call it at this point. We've been going like over, I think it's 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Time
Well, they said it, right? If you look at the solar system, Saturn's still in the lead, but because Jupiter has a smaller orbit, it will catch up with Saturn and then pass it again.
to our eyes.
Yeah.
It's just to our eye, yeah.
Yeah, you got to look at it from our perspective. Stuff that happens. It's like Inky and Lil. I mean, in the cuneiform, all these folks that are so involved in esotericism are no better than religion, in my opinion, and it always has been that way. People who follow the horoscope and stars and movement of stars. In fact, the only reason that horoscope is a thing, and I can literally tell you the water bearer is the symbol for Inky's power. The twins are 2 twins, the first 2 twins that were born here on Earth of the Anunnaki. That is set up purely for their timeline, their rule over this planet. It isn't anything about, the only control it has over you is them. And that controls humanity in itself. Even the ones that think they're breaking away from religion are breaking right into the same goddamn system, is what I keep trying to tell these enlightened people that won't fucking listen.
Yep.
They're set in their ways.
They are. And it's sad to watch once you really understand and know.
Yeah, because it's like they don't want to hear it. And if they do care, they don't care.
Yeah, because you're now against their program.
Yeah, or their agenda.
So even the awakened people are really just completely following the safety net of their program. They knew not everybody's going to accept all the religions. They had to put an individual thing with the stars and everything they constructed with that power system into another corner. It isn't about burning candles, watching your star alignments. Yeah, these things affect you, but you know what? You have it in you to affect them. Don't be the victim of their time and their sex and their brains. That's my whole point. Don't let it affect your life when Mercury goes into retrograde. It'll kill you. You have to understand creators in every atom. And it ain't about this. It's about what's here in your heart. That's what controls you. It's divinity. It's everything. Everything affects you. You affect everything. Interacting with creation is the ultimate goal here. It isn't being limited by their construct. That's what scares people when you start breaking out of all their constructed constructs, because now you're crazy.
Oh, I know. I'd like to be told that. It tells me I'm so unique.
Yeah. Well, you are. You're one of the most brilliant people I've run into in my existence. I've spoken with a few Mensa.
I wish I could get my brother to this level. He's not as religiously inclined, so he has no spiritual aspect. And he's like, it's all bullshit.
It is.
But it's
It holds truth.
It's more than that. We both know what truth is in that.
Yes.
So.
Well, that's the way I felt. It's the way your brother felt, though. Like I said, I felt like I was on a dead rock with her spaceman mountains, and I really mean that in my heart. I felt that way. And I found a creator in every atom, and I had no other choice but to know, fuck, man, I've never read that book.
Yeah.
Where I could understand. I mean, omnipresence is left as a mystery.
I've never
What is omnipresence?
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it's a very confusing set of circumstances they set before us. And it's the only thing we have to look at. It's distracting.
All right. Well, my wife is home, so I'm going to have to roll too. We got things to do.
All right, Eric. All right, John.
Yeah.
You guys have a good one.
I always love talking with y'all.
Yeah.
I love talking to John.
My kill's hot. I'm going live again.
Okay.
Afterwards on my Twitch. Y'all feel free to drop by.
Will do.
Okay. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
It was a blast.
Thank you, everybody. And you have
Yes,
a good night. Don't forget to thumbs up on John's channel.
And all the viewers who came.
Everybody who's looked and gotten on the magnet, understanding the program of creation. That's beautiful. Always appreciated every artist.
Stay relaxed.
Stay relaxed.